D'Souza, and they were asked to remove defamatory material, allegedly defamatory material, posted about Irani and her daughter's Goa cafe. The Congress had alleged that Miss Irani's daughter owned the Goa cafe and that there were some misdemeanors. The court also said that if they didn't delete their tweets and all social media posts within 24 hours, the social media platforms themselves would be directed to do so. Union Minister Irani had filed a defamation suit against these leaders for alleging that her daughter ran a bar in Goa that obtained a license illegally in the name of a dead man. Now, in a rap to the Congress leaders, the judge said that he was of the prima facie view that the allegations were made without verifying actual facts and grave injury had been caused to Irani because of the same. Ms. Smriti Irani said that her daughter was targeted to indirectly malign her because she is a minister in the union government. She also said that when there are no names of her daughter on the documents, how could the Congress party have made these allegations? The court also said that the plaintiff, Smriti Irani, has made out a prima facie case and balance of convenience lies against the defendants. However, the Congress remained defiant in the face of this censure of sorts from the High Court and said that they would combat quote, spin unquote by Irani in court. Law Minister Kiren Rijiju meanwhile advised the Congress to refrain from making unfounded allegations without verifying facts against anyone. Now viewers, here is how it played out in the public domain. Listen to some of these reactions that have been coming in on this particular story. We'll also take you back a little while to what Smriti Irani had said when the allegations were first leveled against her. First listen in.
Without hearing the other side, how could the High Court conclude and give the judgment? And on the basis of plaint filed by Smriti Irani ji, if that becomes a judgment, it's unfortunate. And I will say that High Court should reconsider.
मुझे लगता है कि उन दो नेताओं को जो वो फेक न्यूज़ की फैक्ट्री चलाते हैं उसका जवाब हाई कोर्ट में ही जाकर देना चाहिए. ये कानूनी एक प्रोसेस है. उस पर मुझे लगता है कोर्ट ने जो कहा है, that in itself is a very big statement about the fake news factory that is being propagated.
Now, the BJP has also gone on to say that they take severe offense to the shoot and scoot style politics that the Congress is perfecting to try and score political points over the BJP. The BJP says it's not the first time the Congress has been caught on the wrong foot. The High Court orders, of course, came on a day when Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary had to apologize for addressing the president as Rashtrapatni. Many people took umbrage at this, viewers, and said that this was slander. Earlier, Rahul Gandhi has been forced to apologize to Supreme Court for attributing the Chaukidar Chor hai remark to the Supreme Court's justices. In 2014, Manish Tiwari was directed by the courts to apologize to Nitin Gadkari for dragging his name in yet another scam. So viewers, the BJP is falling back on all of these examples to suggest that the Congress has now perfected this shoot, scoot, slander mode of politics only to obviously mislead the public and gain political mileage out of it, and perhaps even an advantage. Is this true or not? Let's open this up. Let's ask some basic questions. Sanjay Jha is with us. Let me begin with him. Also with us, Dr. Suman Siraman. But let me first come across to you, Mr. Sanjay Jha. Does the Silly Soul attack, Silly Soul, of course, being the name of the bar and cafe that the Congress alleged was owned in a circuitous, illegal manner by Smriti Irani's daughter, and therefore I'm paraphrasing that. Does the Silly Soul attack fit a pattern of ill-researched attacks on political opponents only for political interest?
Rahul, where this matter is concerned, I believe it is sub judice. I have known Jairam Ramesh for a very long time. He's a seasoned veteran. He knows his onions, I can tell you that. So when he tweeted today that he is going to take this matter up in the High Court, as and when I think they get the opportunity to be there present when the summons have been issued, I think you will see the wheat and the chaff being segregated. I'm not going to prejudge it, but I do believe that the Congress party seems to have done its homework. If it hasn't, I mean, they will face the legal consequences. But I do want to make one very pertinent point on your show. If there is any one political party that has created a WhatsApp university in India, that has actually become, in my opinion, the epitome of fake news, alternative fact, and post-truth, it is the BJP. And I'll give you an example. Talk about what Raghavendra Rathore tweeted about Rahul Gandhi. And you have a letter, Jairam pressed out the letter, the BJP president J.P. Nadda publicly saying, kindly apologize. Obviously, Nadda hasn't responded. You don't expect BJP so thick-skinned to respond. Then they have been made by a BJP spokesperson, highly objectionable, typically repugnant and disgusting comments against Mrs. Gandhi. Again, Jairam, apology from J.P. Nadda, again, as if the BJP would respond. So you're talking about a thick-skinned party. See, I think the BJP today is the manifestation of what a democracy can become when it actually becomes rogue. People spread malicious news, malignant news, and today the Congress party has accused Smriti Irani or her family of his demeanors. They have done it on the basis of some report. Now, whether the reports are true or fabricated, let the courts decide.
No, but
I won't
Sanjay,
prejudge it.
just one second.
I do believe the matter is.
I'm not prejudging anything. I'm not prejudging anything, Sanjay Jha. I'm only quoting the Delhi High Court prima facie, which said slanderous allegations made against the plaintiff, allegations without verifying actual facts. These are not my words. These are High Court words. Grave injury to reputation of a plaintiff, balance of convenience lies against defendants. So these are the High Court's own words written into the order today. So I'll just park that aside. Fine, I accept. Let's not get into whether this is a setback or not, etc., etc. It might be a slip up. Setback, different kettle of fish. Let's not go there. But you pointed out to two examples where apologies were sought by Mr. Nadda. These have not been sought by the courts of Mr. Nadda. They have been sought by the Congress of Mr. Nadda. Mr. Nadda is by no means obliged to follow the Congress's demands, accept them at any level. You would admit that. You'd be the first to admit that.
Can I answer that, Rahul, very quickly?
But let's look at the record.
Can I answer that very quickly?
No, one second.
Let me tell you, I do think the Congress will follow the logical course and take it to the courts. But frankly, one should avoid this kind of, what I call as mutual recrimination. But you see, I think the Congress is going to take the matter to court because it's a blatant attempt by Raghavendra Rathore to try and actually make Rahul Gandhi look like a man
that hasn't happened.
Communal hate.
That hasn't happened right now. When it does, we can have that debate also. And if there is a similar order against the BJP, we can obviously look at that and ask those questions. So that hasn't happened. So I'm only speaking from that capacity. But let's look at the recent Congress record. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, accused of slander, now tenders what some people would say was a half-hearted apology, saying that, it was a slip-up. Incorrect word was used, I agree, but it was just a slip-up. Now, that is something that he's had to do, given the fact that he was wide off the mark, right? Why did it? Of course, you'll have to ask him. Rahul apologized to Supreme Court in 2019 for attempting to put words in the Supreme Court's mouth while attacking the Prime Minister, and Rafael said that the Supreme Court said that Chaukidar chor hai. You know how that went. Mr. Tiwari, an MP from the Congress in 2014, had to apologize. Now, apologize is the word to Mr. Gadkari for leveling grave charges. The court stepped in and made both your leaders apologize. Mr. Gandhi is embroiled in a defamation case against Mr. Savarkar, against the RSS, that the courts have not yet quashed. So there is this record, and it's on the basis of this record where the courts have actually pulled you up, that I'm asking this question: is slander Congress's now default option in politics? Very simple.
Well, Rahul, let me tell you that we know what is slander. Slander is when a man calls somebody's wife by attaching a price tag on her as a 50 crore ka girlfriend. Slander is when a chief minister calls a lady as a Jersey cow. Slander is when a political leader, India's most famous political personality, called Mrs. Gandhi as Congress ka vidwa. This is slander. This is ugly. I think the Congress has so far handled it with greater grace and dignity than the BJP. They haven't taken the matter to court.
Why?
The BJP does it. And I think the Congress has to learn its lessons.
Why not take the matter to court?
The game has changed.
No, accountability is essential. Now, hang on. I'll tell you something. The Congress sought an apology and got it from Kejriwal for defaming Sibbal's son, Amit Sibbal. So why are you grudging the BJP? Why are you suggesting that the BJP is not sort of, following, or is graceless if it takes you to court?
I'll give you an example.
The Congress willy-nilly files cases against journalists.
Yeah.
We've seen them. Is that, and I'm asking you now, is that in some ways graceless?
Well, Rahul, let me tell you this.
Is it only that you go after soft targets, or you know you're going to end up losing in a court against BJP, etc.? That's why you don't do it. I'm just asking, because it's not as if the Congress sits hand upon hand. It does take action. Defamation cases are filed against journalists routinely, and you know this. In fact, Mr. Jairam Ramesh seems to have said that we are not going to take anything lying down now, and we're going to do it. And there are journalists who have faced some terrible consequences.
I agree. No, let me answer you very quickly. I'll give you something private that I can exchange and put it in the public domain. When Mr. Narendra Modi, campaigning during the Gujarat elections in 2017, accused Dr. Manmohan Singh of being involved in a conspiracy with certain Pakistanis to put a Muslim CM in Gujarat, I requested the Congress leadership that he should demand an apology from Narendra Modi for accusing Dr. Manmohan Singh of being a pro-Pakistani and a pro-terrorist or an anti-national.
Right.
The Congress was very happy to just take an apology from Arun Jaitley, who passed it off as a frivolous, flippant comment made in the heat of electioneering. I think these are the mistakes the Congress party has made.
Well, sir, but you can't grudge another political party from coming out or an individual who is another political party from taking action if they want to defend their fair name. You can't say that is, graceless. I'm sorry, that doesn't apply. Okay, let me bring in the BJP national spokesperson, Mr. R.P. Singh. Mr. Singh, how do you respond to Sanjay Jha when he says, look, the BJP is no less. Look at the attacks that it has made, slanderous attacks on our leadership. So why is the pot calling the kettle black?
Well, I have a complete list of some 77 slanderous words being used against the Prime Minister Modi ji. Maut ka Saudagar, starting from Maut ka Saudagar to Neech Jati and Chai Wala and various other, Nali ka Keeda, there's a big list. But that's not the issue here. You are accusing a leader of charge that she has seek favor for her daughter, or her daughter has been given a favor without even verifying a document, and then the documents which they had with them didn't prove that. I mean, the RTA which they have, and that's why the court has categorically stated that the judge categorically said, I am of the prima facie view that slanderous allegations were made against the plaintiff without verifying the actual facts. This is what the honorable judge said, and not only here. It deems it's proper to pass an interim injunction directing defendant, that was a Congress leader, to delete and remove all the allegations made during the press conference from the social media platform. And if they don't do it, then the social media is obliged, they have to remove all those allegations. So the court is very clear. Only thing is, yes, they can go back to court, and then it will be settled in the court. And then I'm telling you, it will be settled in favor of Mrs. Smriti Irani, and then they will have to pay from their nose. But this is not the first time, as you said. Even Rahul Gandhi in that Chowkidar Chor, he has to go and apologize in the court. It was not only that. I mean, just
so you're saying,
yesterday,
saying that look, we have solid grounds. We have solid grounds.
Another second.
Okay.
Another second.
Okay. Go ahead.
Adhiranjan, I mean, that journalist I saw, we all saw that journalist told him then and then, sir, you are not using the right, appropriate word for the president of the country. And he washed it away. He repeated it thrice. So, is a complete attempt being made by the Congress to demean the president of the country because it doesn't suit them politically.
Okay, let me ask. Let me ask that question. Dr. Sumansi Raman, let me bring you into this. You see, Congress accused the Aam Aadmi Party, you will remember this, of quote-unquote shoot and scoot politics in 2014. This after Mr. Kejriwal alleged that there were closet financial deals between the Badals and the Congress. This was Captain Amrinder Singh who said this. Why, on the basis of what has happened in court today or in the past, in 2019 or earlier or other instances, can't we ask the Congress, if they are in fact indulging in shoot and scoot politics, to take the easiest route, which is maligning somebody to try and gain an advantage? Simple question, Dr. Raman.
Yeah, Rahul, first of all, I agree entirely with Sanjay Jha that the Congress party should have gone to court more often in cases where they felt that their leaders had been defamed. Not doing that was wrong. As far as this case is concerned, the case is sub judice, so we will comment on it only cautiously. But the point really is that the Congress did not make up this allegation out of a hat. They did produce, and I'm sure you must have seen on social media, there was a video on YouTube, the Kunal Vijayakar video, and there was also an Instagram post which the minister herself had posted. So it is not that they just went on the basis of the RTI. And the RTI, by the way, what the RTI showed has not been satisfactorily explained so far. Nobody from Mrs. Irani's side has actually come out and given a clear explanation for why a license was in the name of a dead man. So there are a lot of questions which need to be answered. Personally, I'm not sure that...
Sir, then why has the High Court... First of all, let me... No, one second, Dr. Saab, 1 second.
How do you relate the dead man to...
No, 1 second.
Because they have not... Look, they have not...
1 second. Then why is the court saying allegations were made without verifying actual facts? No, 1 second. Dr. Raman, are you in a better position to judge? Or is the High Court... No, 1 second, sir. Please allow me.
1 second.
Allow me, sir. Allow me to ask my question. See, you have come out and said many questions. Certainly, the Delhi High Court prima facie has gone on certain basis to say slanderous allegations made against the plaintiff. I want you to pull out, Nizam Bhai, what the court has said.
Well,
1 second, sir, please allow me.
If the evidence has been shown to the court.
Sir, please allow me.
That is what Mr. Jairam Ramesh
So do you think
we are glad to have the opportunity
Dr. Raman,
to show these evidences
Dr. Raman, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
That
please,
is what
all I'm
Jairam
saying
Ramesh
is,
says.
let's not get ahead of ourselves. I am not conducting a media trial here, deliberately not going into what the court is saying. All I am saying about whether it is right or wrong is that the court, and I am only firing off the court in a written order says this.
It says, did go to what the court is saying.
Let me finish. Allegations without verifying actual facts, slanderous allegations made against plaintiff. It is the court's words, the judge's words. Grave injury to reputation of plaintiff.
This is not, 1 minute. Rahul, there is a further hearing in this case. This is not the final judgment.
The court itself is saying balance of convenience lies against defendants.
Will put forward.
And of course they will. Because the court has also summoned them.
So why is this matter posted?
Because,
for hearing?
Sir, in defamation cases...
Then this matter should be closed.
Okay.
Why is it posted for hearing?
Why? If injury has happened... No, 1 second. If injury has happened to a particular plaintiff...
This is not the final judgment,
Sir, you will not allow me to finish. You will speak over me. This is not fair. 1 second. Let me just put out what Smriti Irani has said. So please, Dr. Raman, please 1 second. I'm only begging your indulgence. You said that Smriti Irani has not explained. Let's play out a soundbite. Let's listen to what she said about the RTI, in fact, the one that he's talking about. Let's put it out.
उस 18 साल की लड़की का दोष ये है कि उस लड़की की मां ने साल 2014-2019 में राहुल गांधी के खिलाफ अमेठी से चुनाव लड़ा। उस लड़की का जो 18 साल की है, कॉलेज के प्रथम वर्ष में पढ़ती है, उसका दोष ये है कि उसकी मां ने सोनिया गांधी, राहुल गांधी के 5,000 करोड़ की लूट के ऊपर प्रेस वार्ता की। कांग्रेस के प्रवक्ताओं ने कटाक्ष करते हुए, हंसते हुए ये कहा कि मैं सोनिया और राहुल के खिलाफ प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करती हूं। हां, करती हूं, करती रहूंगी। हंसते हुए कहा कि मुझसे जवाब मांगा जाए। अब जवाब मैं मांगूंगी कोर्ट में।
Okay, and she went on, viewers, and I'll bring that bite out again. It's been widely posted, even on social media, where she says that at least they could have checked the document where my daughter's name is not even mentioned. Now listen to this, viewers.
Her character today was publicly mutilated by the Congress spokespeople, and they claimed that the mutilation stemmed from a show cause notice. I want to ask that congressperson, where is my daughter's name in the papers that he flashed? Jairam Ramesh said that he's taking a position on the basis of an RTI application. My question is, where does the RTI application name my daughter? The allegation that my daughter runs an illegal bar is malicious with the intent not only to assassinate her character but also to politically malign me. It is done at the directions, as was obviously stated by Pawan Kheda, of the Congress leadership, namely the Gandhi family, because I had the audacity to hold a press conference and question Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi for the 5,000 crore loot of the Indian treasury. So to the gentleman who sat there, giggled as they assassinated my daughter's character, I will see you in the court of law and in the court of people. And to the Gandhi family, which directed that this press conference be held against my child, I tell you this: send Rahul Gandhi back to fight the Lok Sabha election in 2024 from Amethi, and he will lose again. That is.
Let me bring in Ishkaran Bhandari. Mr. Bhandari, how do you look at this? How do you look at this? First of all, the Delhi High Court order today, and second of all, the charge that is being made by Smriti Irani and by RP saying that the reason Smriti Irani has been singled out for what they believe is a scurrilous attack is because, and very simply, is because she had the gumption to hold a press conference taking on the Gandhis and the Congress on the Herald case. What do you make of both these claims?
Rahul, this entire saga has two parts, political as well as legal. I think the political starts when Smriti Irani goes to what is Congress's bastion, Amethi, Rahul Gandhi's own seat, and wins the election, and Rahul Gandhi has to go to Wayanad. In fact, even before the election, he chose to contest on 2 seats, well knowing that the public in Amethi had turned against him. So that was the political background. But this is a new law in politics. I say, why is it a new law? Because politicians attacking politicians is the norm. But even mafia has certain rules. What they do here is they go after an 18-year-old girl, barely a major, because as Smriti Irani ji is saying, she is 18, right? Barely a major, they go attacking her based on documents which don't have her name. That is why the Honorable High Court today, it operates on, it leans towards freedom of speech. You have to actually make a very strong case to get an order in which where people are directed to take down their publications in social media, and if they don't do it, the companies have to do it. The presumption is initially in favor of free speech. You have to build up a case. So you have to build up a prima facie case. You have to build up irreparable loss and injury. You have to bring out a balance of convenience. There are certain tests you have to qualify before you get the order. Those tests, of course, were met by the counsels for Ms. Irani. That is why this order came. And now, as she started by saying, in public opinion as well as in the court of law. Public opinion 2019 had already decided, maybe 24 will decide. But in court of law, as a citizen, it's a sad day that 18-year-olds get attacked because their parents, mother or father, does well in politics and defeats the top leadership of Congress.
Sanjay Jha, respond to Ishkaran Bhandari saying that why would the courts then step in to say delete defamatory tweets, or else we will, if you don't want to, we will get the social media platform to do so. Because obviously they are without basis. Sanjay Jha, am I wrong to contend this? Is Ishkaran Bhandari wrong to contend this? He's a lawyer.
No, I think what the court has done is correct, because supposing, hypothetically, supposing the Congress were to lose the case, even if it were to win the case, it doesn't matter, that's immaterial. The truth is, if the case is not yet decided, if those tweets are in the public domain, it does damage or have ramifications for Smriti Irani and her family. So I think the court has done the right thing, that until there is a final verdict, it is appropriate that the tweets are deleted, and I would request my Congress people to follow that dictate, because I think that's appropriate. As far as the other statement being made that this is an attack against an 18-year-old, let me tell you, I think that's an absolutely stupid argument, because I think the Congress is basically suspecting here that it is not to do anything to do with her daughter, but who will exercise political influence. I think that's the larger question of the accusation that the Congress party is making. So
Mr.
please let us
Bhandari
not try
and
and demean
Priyanka
this debate.
Tibrewal, both are lawyers, both want to respond to you. First, one second.
Bhushan had put out a tweet today.
Doctor, 1 second please. There are two people who put their hands up. Two people who put their hands up. Let them respond first, please. They haven't really had much of a say. Okay. Priyanka Tibrewal and Ishkaran Bhandari in that order. Yes, Priyanka Tibrewal, respond to
Rahul.
Mr. Jha.
So when he said that this attack is not on an 18-year-old, let me tell you that, political acrimony is understandable, but this is directly political vengeance and vendetta, which is purely visible. And that's the reason that the order today, it has been said that a prima facie case has been made out by Mrs. Irani. Now what has been done is completely unethical, immoral. See, these imputations were done in order to harm the image of Mrs. Irani, the political image, and her daughters, which has partly it has happened. And that is the reason the court has asked them to take off everything today. See, we completely understand a politician attacking a politician, but when you drag in families and children, this is immoral and graceless.
Okay, Mr. Bhandari.
Rahul, it is unfortunate that Sanjay Jha, having had an experience of being sued for defamation, having known that you cannot make statements, having apologized in writing for defamation, still doesn't understand the law of defamation. It is not ordinary that the tweets are told to be taken down. Daily defamation cases are filed. Court does not say take down the tweet or remove the article. It is only when you meet a certain threshold that the court says take it down. Otherwise, the court simply issues a notice. So the court in this case has ordered it to be taken down. That is when you build a case where prima facie the court is satisfied that there are reasons why it must not stand even for a day. So let us not reduce the significance of the High Court order, and to say that it is not an attack on 18-year-old when you are clearly naming that 18-year-old, when you are putting videos about that 18-year-old, when your entire lobby then after you launch the attack will put various sort of comments that is directly an attack on that individual as well as on the politician, which is unfortunate.
Rahul, a quick response, please.
Yeah, please.
Rahul, Rahul, let me tell you, I don't want to even respond to such ridiculous arguments. The matter is sub judice, simple. This is an interim order because Smriti Irani has gone to court, and in my opinion, as a citizen of this country, I have nothing personal against her. She has a right to demand that until a verdict is passed, a matter that she believes is very defamatory has to be proscribed. And why not? I think that's absolutely fair. And but to, just kind of assume from this, as this learned gentleman seems to be, that, the verdict has been passed, in which case are we talking about kangaroo courts in India or what? I mean, Jairam Ramesh is a very responsible politician.
I want to answer this.
I know him personally. If Jairam has said that I am going to take it.
Okay, Mr. Bhandari wants to respond first. 1 second. Mr. Bhandari wants to respond.
When was it last time?
I want to answer this. Rahul, I think either it is ignorance of law. Rahul, can I answer this point?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
Rahul, we don't have kangaroo courts. That is why the court passed the order. I think either Sanjay Jha has a lack of knowledge of the law. It is not daily that in every defamation case you say that the tweets be taken down. That is basic. It is only when you cross a threshold, when you show what has been done is so scandalous, it should not stand for a day, that you get an interim order like this. Interim orders are not there for the asking.
Okay.
That's a simple law. Please understand that.
The congressmen are habitual offenders. They have no shame to apologize.
Okay.
Of course not, but is interim order always given? Of course not. Please understand that interim order is given when you make out the case.
Interim order always equal to the final judgment.
It is not, but interim order is not equal to a simple notice also. Interim order has directed you to do a certain thing. That means you were in the wrong. That is why the interim order was against you.
The matter must be heard. The matter must be heard. It has been posted for August.
What kind of
it has been
they are,
posted for hearing. At the next hearing, let the court decide. Why are you carrying out a media trial and giving certificates?
Who is carrying out a... No one, sir.
Rahul, this is so ridiculous.
While Mr. Bhandari says there is no case. Mr. Bhandari says there is no case.
Let me say what I said.
He says the interim order.
Okay, 1 second. Let me bring in. No, 1 second.
Outright lies on national television.
Okay.
I never said that interim order is equal to final order. Play the entire debate where I said it. I only said interim order to take down certain tweets is not the normal course.
But you don't seem to know the difference.
It is only when you satisfy the court that it needs to be done. That the court exercises.
Okay, gentlemen, very quickly, 1 second. What is the issue? Dr. Raman, the issue is that this, forget the order right now, just park it aside. Forget that the court has even asked these messers to delete their tweet. Forget it. Just for a few moments, forget it. Let's go into the past a little bit. I remember when Kapil Mishra had to apologize, had to tender an apology, there was mass celebration. They said that, and Kapil Mishra is of course the BJP leader. He had to apologize to Satyendra Jain of AAP in a defamation case following allegations made about bribery. Right? You remember that? What did people like you say? That, WhatsApp University BJP runs, they're guilty, shoot and scoot politics, this, that, the other. All I'm saying is that when you have Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary going out and apologizing for what he now obviously accepts is a statement in bad taste and others said was defamatory, what is one expected to conclude? Number two, when Rahul Gandhi, who is at that time
how is
1 second, sir, let me finish.
Case linked to this particular
let me finish. I am talking about, sir, I am talking about the BJP's charge that there seems to be in some capacity or the other a propensity in the Congress party to use slander as a tool for vilification and to garner short-term political advantage. That's the question the BJP is asking, not me. I'm only asking that question that is being posed.
Half a dozen cases where slander has been used against the Congress party.
Has it been declared as such?
Half a dozen instances.
Has it been declared? Now you may not agree with. No, 1 second. You may not agree with.
It has not been.
Dr. Raman, has this matter gone to court? No, none of those matters have gone to court.
You are giving
That is
half
what
a
I'm
dozen.
saying. I agree.
I'll
I
give
agree
you
that was a mistake
77 such cases.
How can you say that's a mistake?
Mr. Smriti Irani, there are 77 such comments by the Congress party against the Prime Minister.
Sir, if you go into the list of
Okay, let me just step in here. Let me step in here. There is an attempt being made. There is an attempt being made to compare apples with oranges, lower everyone's fader. There is an attempt being made to compare apples with oranges. We are only talking about bona fide cases where there are bona fide judgments. Now, viewers, it is a fact that whether the BJP, the Congress, or any other political party, standard of discourse has fallen. But to abuse someone is a whole different kettle of fish. To make accusations without fact, to undermine, to gain political advantage, that is another kettle of fish, viewers. Arun Jaitley won against Mr. Kejriwal. Perhaps he thought that he had a very strong case. His reputation, built hard work, etc., was prized. The Congress can't just come and say, oh, I wish we had. Because the onus is always on you as the appellant to prove your case in defamation. And that's a fact. You can ask Ishkaran Bhandari or any other lawyer. And therefore today, viewers, this question is a legitimate question to be posed. Have we come to a point in our politics where shoot and scoot is used as an instrumentality to score quick brownie points over opponents? That's the question that is being debated. You've heard all the sides. We will, of course, wait for the High Court's order, final order on this. But in the moment, right now in the interim, those defamatory posts have to be removed. Slanderous allegations have to be expunged. Mr. Jha talked about taking the high road. The court hopes that these three gentlemen will do so. If they don't, of course, the platform will. And if they don't, will Sanjay Jha come out and say that, well, they acted without grace? I don't know. Will he? Will he not? I don't know. Will you? Will you say if they don't remove it in the next 24 hours that it was graceless of these three people not to remove these remarks? Yes, no. I can't hear you. Sanjay Jha, I think you're on mute. I can't hear you.
No, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yes.
I believe that if the court has passed even an interim observation, it's not a verdict, the Congress leaders must adhere to it.
It's an order, not an observation.
I mean, it is sacrosanct,
we'll wait.
And they can always fight the case
as of now, Mr. Jairam Ramesh hasn't indicated whether he's going to be expunging these remarks or not. He said that, look, I'm going to combat
I can't hear you,
Smriti Irani's spin in court. We move on, viewers. We move on to another very big story. It has been occupying the national headlines for the last 3 or 4 days. Karnataka's communal cauldron is boiling over. Very evidently, communal violence has been regularly exploding, and it appears that provocateurs think they can get away with anything. That's why they could brazenly execute Pradeep, a Bharatiya Janata Party Yuva Morcha Neta or leader. The police now say that the attack was premeditated. First, listen to what the police is saying.
It seems to be pre-planned. It is not that it was randomly done, because you can see we have got the CCTV footage where they are waiting for 30 minutes. That means that there was this target was not random. They did not come randomly and attack. They are waiting for the specific target, and there seems to be preparation and local involvement, and there will be non-local involvement also. So now non-local component, we are working on that.
Viewers, ever since the killing, the BJP's own cadres, youth cadres, have been taking on their own political party and the government for doing little to protect them against what they believe is radicalism and retributive justice. Viewers, rattled by the backlash and fearing more violence, which could lead to more backlash, the Karnataka Chief Minister and his deputies are talking tough. The CM says he will implement the Yogi model, while a colleague in government with him says he will not hesitate to encounter those the police believe are guilty. Encounter was the word he used, and he says that his prescription will be 5 times more than that issued by the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath. Listen in.
I have told him in Bangalore, whatever possible we'll do it, and if need be, if the situation says that UP model or much more stricter than that, we will not hesitate to do it.
Now the tough talk, viewers, has elicited some very strong reactions from the opposition. The opposition in the state has accused the BJP government and the Chief Minister, Mr. Bommai, of resorting to extrajudicial avenues to impose their writ. And they say that this will only lead to anarchy. The Chief Minister and his party refuted the criticism, slamming the opposition for allowing appeasement to dictate their responses. Listen into this.
Chief Minister's reaction about Mangalore incident, that he will thinking to bring Yogi model here. But my advice to the government, Yogi model, some other model will not going to work out here. First, the responsibility of the government and the Chief Minister is to get the confidence of those area people who are with the communities. He has to convince the people and give message to the all section of the society that this government is for all the 6 crore 50 lakhs people government. That confidence must he has to give to those.
I was shocked to hear the statement of the Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Mr. Bommai, that the same measures like what is done by the Yogis Adityanath will be adopted here to curb violence. In fact, this is spitting venom against people. And you know, what does it mean? It means anarchy. The government itself will be taking the law into their own hands. You know, in that, why should we have courts? Why should we have police? You just, engage an operator of a bulldozer and run down.
ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಇಂಥ ಘಟನೆಗಳು ನಡೀಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರ ಮತ್ತು ಸಮಾಜದ ನಾಗರಿಕರ ಅಪೇಕ್ಷೆ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಅಪೇಕ್ಷೆಯ ಪೂರಕವಾಗಿ, ಅವರ ಭಾವನೆಯ ಪೂರಕವಾಗಿ ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ತೀವ್ರವಾದಂಥ ಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ವಹಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಭಾಳ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನು ಯಾರೇ ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಲಿ ಹುಡುಕಿ ಆ ಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ವಹಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು ಮತ್ತು ಅವ್ರನ್ನೇನು ಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ವಹಿಸಬೇಕು, ಎನ್ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕೋ ಎನ್ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೂ UP-ಗಿಂತ ಒಂದು 5 ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. UP-ಗಿಂತನೂ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮಾಡಲೇ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ, UP-ಗಿಂತನೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಒಂದು ಮುಂದುವರೆದ ರಾಜ್ಯ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗಿಂತ ಪ್ರಗತಿಪರವಾಗಿರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ರಾಜ್ಯ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮಾದರಿಯಾಗಿರುವಂಥ ರಾಜ್ಯ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಇತರರಿಗೆ ಮಾದರಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದನ್ನೇನು ಅನುಸರಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು ಯಾವುದೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು
Let's open this up, viewers. Let's ask some basic questions tonight. Let me go straight across to Mohan Krishna, spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP, Brijesh Kalappa, advocate, also joining us from Bangalore, Tanveer Ahmed, national spokesperson of the JDS, Zeba Yasmin, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Welcome. Let me just go straight across to Mohan Krishna and Brijesh Kalappa. Mr. Kalappa, first to you. Straight question. Is this an attempt to rely on extrajudicial measures to impose the writ of law, as the opposition is claiming in the state of Karnataka, sir? You're a lawyer. Please tell us.
See, Rahul, as far as Karnataka is concerned, Karnataka has had a long stint of great peace. And today we are faced in a situation where, one, election clouds are gathering. And two is that, these rampant killings during elections, they always tend to queer the pitch. Now, who is doing what and what is being done is a different matter. I'd only like to say that as far as the people of Karnataka are concerned, they are deeply concerned with the fact that, the cases of lawlessness are increasing. Therefore, an extraordinary situation has been created for which an extraordinary response is called for. Now, if the government has a particular plan that, some extraordinary response must be there, and which is fitting to this extraordinary situation. I think it's completely called for, and I think this is what the people of Karnataka expect. That one, that there should be overall peace, there should be overall lawfulness, and for that, I think the Karnataka government must go the extra mile, and this is what the people of Karnataka expect. I think this is essentially what the people of Karnataka expect.
Okay, let me bring in Tanveer Ahmed, spokesperson of the JDS. Mr. Ahmed, you know, your party and others like you have been saying that this will become a extrajudicial weapon in the hands of the state to go after people on the basis of their identities, etc., intimidate people. How do you substantiate this?
I don't know what exactly they mean by Yogi model. If at all lawlessness is what they want there in Karnataka, they can definitely bring Yogi model. But as we all know that UP and Bihar absolutely is known for a certain political style, but not Karnataka. Karnataka was always been a peaceful state, developing state on terms of education, in front of infrastructure. Rather than developing that and bringing peace and harmony, today Mr. Bommai and especially Ashwath Narayan is saying that he wants to encounter. And today I am really surprised, my good honorable friend Mr. Brijesh Kalapa, whom we all respect, today he is speaking a language which we have never heard from Brijesh Kalapa.
No, it's not about,
he said, what
let's not make
extraordinary
this
situation
personal.
are you talking about, Mr.
Mr. Ahmed, he has a point of view.
Lawlessness is happening.
He has a point of view. I'm only asking you.
You want to kill people?
No, Mr.
You
Ahmed.
want to do encounters?
1 second, Mr. Ahmed, let's just take it step by step. I think, you know, let's not, we'll ask that question of Mohan Krishna, who's from the BJP. The advocate here, Mr. Kalappa, is saying that an extraordinary situation requires, let me finish, sir, requires an extraordinary response. 1 second, we'll ask that question. Don't worry, we'll ask that question. But you said that the Yogi model will lead to anarchy. Now, I'm just giving you some cold statistics, sir. 2014, the number of rapes in Uttar Pradesh, 3,467. In 2016, 4,816. So there was a jump. Then 4,244 in 2017, just when Yogi takes charge. Today, 2,769 rapes, sir. The numbers have fallen from 3,467 and a high of 4,816 to 2,769, which is almost a 50% drop in the number of rapes. Obviously, the ideal situation should be 0. But obviously, something is working. Murders, 2014, 5,150, 5,150. That was the highest point of the murder rate in Uttar Pradesh. In 2017, it was 4,324. Today, it is 3,779, 3,779, which is again, sir, almost a 30% plus decrease in the number of murders. Thefts, 48,380 in 2014. They go up to a high of 60,434 when Yogi takes over. Today, they're at 33,250 again, sir, just about 50%. How can you say that the Yogi model is not working? The statistics are there.
I don't know what statistics are you talking about, but in terms of development, in terms of progressive thinking, in terms of brotherhood, in terms of India, which talks about Sarve Jano Sukhino Bhavatu, in terms of India, which talks about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that's not happening there in Yogi model. Yogi model is absolutely on divisiveness. Yogi model is based on fear. You can't really have fear. You need to bring people together to really not to have crime. You can't really go bulldoze. That is not the constitution. India is always run and will run by Baba Sahib Ambedkar model, not by Yogi model. If at all, does Baba Sahib Ambedkar model promote Yogi model? Absolutely no.
Okay. Let me bring in Mr. Mohan Krishna, spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP. You see, bulldozers will roll, encounters will happen. They will happen against members of one community more than the other. These are the apprehensions that are being raised by the JDS spokesperson here tonight. How do you respond to those?
Rahul, it's really astonishing to hear from the people and And I'm not, I'm not like a kind of a thing, You have heard of people against Gujarat model earlier. What was Gujarat model? They did not understand. He became the Prime Minister of the country, Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi. That was Gujarat model. After 2002, how we handled after Gujarat and how they have developed is also a model. That was one thing. What is Yogi model? You have explained about the crime rates and other things. I will take it as a Yogi model in a different way. Yogi model is show the door to the right person, the right door, and the wrong person, the wrong door. What are the wrong doors which was closed earlier has been opened by Yogi model, and we are also trying to emulate. And I'm telling you one more thing. I would like to add one more point. After Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh Yogi model, Gujarat model and Yogi model, these miscreants have flown down to south. There are a lot of people, this opposition who has ruled this state for many years, has given shelter for many people, and that's why they are afraid today.
That's a big charge. Mohan Krishnan made a very big charge. I want Ms. Eva Yasmin to respond. Samajwadi spokesperson. I have read out statistics, ma'am, of when the Samajwadi party was in power and now when Mr. Yogi is in power. If there was so much lawlessness, so much extrajudicial terror, why did Mr. Yogi win the last election? Number one. On the plank of governance, the Yogi model, the double engine model, number one. That was their key calling card. Number two, most importantly, why is constantly a question been asked, despite the fact that there are statistics otherwise to show that any crackdown that has taken place across castes and religions equally? Zeba Yasmin. And I have the statistics. Is it not true that Sundar Bhati, Anil Dujana, Badan Singh, Bhado, their assets have been seized, as well as people of the minority community? Isn't it that? And I'm not here for a moment, viewers, underlining or endorsing encounters. But when they have happened, out of the 141 encounters, in these 45 encounters took place and minorities were involved. The rest, it was people of other communities and castes. So, Eva Yasmin, encounters are wrong in any case. We should never ever go for a situation where encounters become necessary unless, of course, there are extenuating circumstances, and then also maximum restraint must be observed. But why is this constant association with the Yogi model to a communal color constantly made? Are you giving a cover to criminal elements? That's what the BJP is saying today, making a very big charge on the show.
Rahul, I really appreciate your research and you have come up with data and all. But let me throw some light on other factors also. I mean, as you only said that the encounters are never justifiable because we have courts, we have law and order to punish them. It's very barbaric that, I mean, they also have if there is any accused, he also has a right to fight for himself and court is going to punish. And these kinds of incidents, we have seen that in Yogi Ji's rule, it is very common these days. And the other thing I would like to throw light that custodial death, it's a very important issue. And it is also very barbaric. I mean, the videos we have seen in Kanpur riots and all that, video was released, police was, beating them badly and showing video, and it was floating on Twitter.
I agree. But
let me finish.
But can the exception be cited as a norm? That's a fundamental question that you need to answer. Yes, it has happened. I mean, in Tamil Nadu, Times Now ran a campaign where the police went on a rampage and beat two people, black and blue. You are aware of that case. But is that the norm? I can't say that. That is the norm. So we can cherry pick an example and we can quote it and, you can make an argument on it and you're within your rights, but that may not be right, ma'am.
And as Yogi government is, advertising bulldozer, bulldozing somebody's property, again, there is a court to fight for it. In Allahabad, we saw that a person's home was bulldozed, and later on it was found that that house was on the name of his wife. In Kanpur case only. So, I mean, these kinds of things happen.
Okay.
So, how would Yogi government, justify? And one more thing, as BJP spokesperson was saying, that Gujarat model made the Chief Minister of Gujarat a PM. Sorry, my dear friend, we have seen the actual model of Gujarat. Thanks to social media, thanks to some reports of some journalists, that we have already seen the condition of roads, the main projects, they are still under the pipeline.
Okay, very quickly.
We know the Gujarat.
Mr. Mohan Krishna,
model.
respond. Mohan Krishna, respond. Gujarat model is a flop, she says. Yes.
That's a flop show.
And let me tell you, viewers,
I
when
will
interventions have been made...
Well as,
yes, Mr. Mohan Krishna, respond.
I will answer to Zeba as well as Tanveer also. He said Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is not there in Yogi, Uttar Pradesh. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is for whole world, and it is there for India, and UP is in India. That means it is there. I can tell you one thing. Second thing, coming to the charges of Zeba, what she is saying. You have given the statistics. They are not ready to accept the statistics, one thing. She has not answered for the question what you have asked. The miscreants have flown down from north to south today. That is my charge. That is the reason these opposition parties, Congress and JDS...
No, but one second. No, one second. Mr. Mohan Krishna, let me just ask you this. Your minister today used the word encounter. That is what is also got everyone worked up. Would you endorse that? Encounter, he says. How can you endorse that?
No, let me tell you. See, encounter is the ultimatum. Okay? So, encounter is not done for everybody. Encounter happens, and it happens accidentally. It doesn't happen, purposefully nobody does it.
How do you know?
That's one thing. As Mr. Ashwath Narayan was saying... It has happened
recently. In 1 minute, it has happened recently in Hyderabad. In Hyderabad, the police there, according to the courts, went out and intentionally killed 4 accused in a rape case. They did that. So let's not say that encounters don't happen deliberately, because the courts have taken cognizance, and there are other cases also. But I'll leave it at this, viewers. We're at a point of inflection in Karnataka. The model you choose to bring about law and order will be equally important as bringing about law and order. Justice must be done, but it also must be seen to be done. The law must be applied, but it also must be seen to be applied. These are fundamentals. So if there are models being considered, they have to be deliberated upon. I will leave it at that, viewers. Ultimately, the proof of the pudding is always in its eating. Let's see. Let's see. No one to stand in judgment. The news are coming up. show tonight, viewers.
Youth Congress activists waved black flags at Kerala Chief Minister's Pinarayi Vijayan's convoy in Aluva. This as part of their agitation over the gold smuggling issue. Indian Army Chief General Manoj Pandey proceeded on a visit to Bhutan to enhance the unique and time-tested bilateral relationship characterized by utmost trust, goodwill and mutual understanding. The centre has appointed Indian Foreign Service Officer Pranay Kumar Verma as the next High Commissioner of India to the People's Republic of Bangladesh.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, a free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankari.
3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ. ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬಲಗೊಳಿಸಬೇಕು, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ತುಂಬಬೇಕು, ನೈತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರು ದೇಶಾದ್ಯಂತ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನನ್ನ ಗಂಡನ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮಗನ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅತ್ತೆಯ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನೆಹರು ಮಾಡಿದ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಜನ ನಮ್ಮ ಋಣ ತೀರಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ 2 ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ಊಟ ಸಾರ್ಥಕ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ. ಈ ಕಿಂಚತ್ತು ತ್ಯಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ತಯಾರಾಗದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On this Friday edition of the Newshour, I'm going to tell you an explosive tale of alleged corruption, collusion and intimidation. Mountains of cash has been recovered from multiple residences of Arpita Mukherjee, close aide of the former Bengal Minister Partha Chatterjee. She is believed to be a close aide of this minister. Just yesterday, on the 28th of July, 27.9 crore was recovered from her Belgaria home. Remember, this follows the first raid where 21.90 crores in notes of 500 and 2000s was stashed in a room in a flat that she owned. That's just cold, hard cash. Bundles and bundles of it that were put in trunks, and almost 8 to 10 trunks of that cash that was taken by the Enforcement Directorate. Add to that the jewelry and the gold bars, and if I can show you that jewelry, each kada there is about half a kg and each bar of gold is about a kg. Now that's the kind of jewelry and gold that we are talking about. And the total recovery at the last count stands at about 55 crores in just cash and jewelry. And that is just the tip of the iceberg as per the agency. her stash no more a secret, and all that's left for Arpita Mukherjee is perhaps play the victim card. So after all her theatrics on screen, today Arpita Mukherjee cried, flapped her arms, jostled with security officials who wanted her to get out of their vehicle for a medical test. And finally, the security personnel had to literally pull her out and drag her into the hospital for examination. So what explains this emotional breakdown? ED sources have told us that 3 of her bank accounts have been frozen now, and collectively they contain over 2 crore rupees. That's not all. 4 of her cars are missing. As per sources in the agency, these cars went missing from her Diamond City flat complex and are believed to have gone missing right after Arpita's arrest. And these are cars that are rather moderate. A Mercedes, an Audi, a Honda CR-V, a Honda City. Now here's why this spells trouble for Partha too. Arpita Mukherjee's arrest had led to Partha Chatterjee, and Partha himself owns at least 10 flats in Kolkata's posh localities that are now under the agency scanner. They could be valued, combined with the cash and the gold, at about 120 crores as per sources that are still estimating this haul in the Enforcement Directorate. And that's not all. 17 other locations across the state are also on the radar. Times Now Navbharat's team traveled to one of these residences and are now under the scanner. Take a look.
अर्पिता मुखर्जी के 2 फ्लैटों से करीब 50 करोड़ रुपए के आसपास बरामद हो चुके हैं, लेकिन ईडी सूत्रों की माने तो ये महज बानगी भर है। अभी काली कमाई का और सच आना बाकी है। इस वक्त हम बेलगिरिया इलाके में मौजूद हैं। ये क्लब टाउन हाइट्स सोसाइटी है जिसमें अर्पिता मुखर्जी का फ्लैट है। ईडी की टीम ने यहां पर छापेमारी की थी, जिसके बाद ईडी को करोड़ों रुपए यहां से बरामद हुए थे। इस वक्त जो दोनों फ्लैट हैं अर्पिता मुखर्जी के, यहां पर 2 फ्लैट बताए जा रहे हैं और ये दोनों फ्लैट जो हैं वो इस वक्त ईडी ने सील किया हुआ है और इसी वजह से अंदर जाने की इजाजत जो है नहीं है।
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this scam taint forced the Trinamool Congress to finally act yesterday, and the minister was sacked and suspended from the party. The party, right from the start, has been maintaining that Arpita Mukherjee, who is at the center of this scam, is not linked to the TMC, though on several instances that has been proven wrong, as her link to Partha and many others in the party has come to the fore. But for the former number 2 in the Trinamool Congress, the timing of his sacking is all wrong. Listen in. Legitimate question I want to ask on the Newshour tonight. Did Partha's loot go unnoticed, or was it deliberately ignored? That's the question, and that's the debate. Partha files unravel. That's the hashtag and the debate on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Gaurav Bhatia, national spokesperson of the BJP, Rishi Bagri, political analyst, Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, Anirban Banerjee, political analyst. But my first question goes to Dr. Shantanu Sen, member of parliament and national spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. Dr. Shantanu Sen, all this while, the major question that people of this country want to know is, why was the Trinamool Congress in denial? Why was it at one level or the other protecting Partha Chatterjee, despite the fact that a huge amount of cash, gold, jewelry has been unearthed, and now documents of properties and assets worth crores of rupees. At the last count, the estimates are about 120 crore with all the gold, the cash and these assets. I want to ask you, is there no internal mechanism within the government, within the party, to check what kind of money is being made by people who are representing the party and the government?
Navika, I strongly condemn your first two statements. First of all, you said why party was in a denial mode, which was absolutely not. Party was never in a denial mode. And secondly, you have said why Partha Chatterjee was being protected. Nobody protected Partha Chatterjee, because it's Trinamool Congress which has expressed his views since day one, which has categorically said party has got nothing with this lady from whom this money has been recovered. Party has got nothing to do with this money that has been recovered. Party wants ED to complete this probe as early as possible in an independent way and let the truth come on the surface. Once it is proved, party will take its decision. And later on, yesterday, party has created a history because it's only Trinamool Congress which can take strong step against any person related to his party who is found to be guilty or who is found to be accused. That's why our Chief Minister has categorically taken the administrative step, and our party has categorically taken the political step, saying that if after the investigation Mr. Chatterjee is found to be not guilty, again party will reconsider. Till then, party has taken the step, and at the same time government has taken the step. So party was never in a denial mode, and secondly, party was never safeguarding Partha Chatterjee. So I strongly condemn your first two statements.
Dada, I only said the first two statements because it was on day 4 or day 5 that the party took action against him. If you were so convinced that you would take him back when he was proven not guilty, you could have taken that decision on day 1. The fact is that on day 1, when he was arrested and all this money, at least 21.90 crore was got from his associate's flat. And that day also this decision could have been taken. So the denial was existent for 4 days. And that's the question I asked you. You may condemn me as much as you want, but isn't it a valid question?
Let me answer your question in a befitting manner. First of all, it's Trinamool Congress which has taken step. Yes, you are talking about 5 days gap. Party goes through a proper procedure. The incident has taken place on 22nd. Party decided to have its disciplinary committee meeting on 29th, 28th, and accordingly it has taken decision. Now let me ask you one question very humbly. Today we came to know that one minister of Gujarat ministry, he was found to be accused of rape and unlawful confinement. This complaint was lodged by a lady in the state of Gujarat. Can we expect that Gujarat government or Gujarat chief minister is going to expel that very minister in coming 1 or 2 days? I can ensure you this type of action is not going to be taken by that particular government of that particular state of Gujarat, because it's only Trinamool Congress which has got the guts to say that we have got zero tolerance to corruption. May I ask you one question with all humility? What was the amount of money that was recovered from Madam Singhal, who was closely associated to some of our ministers of the central government? I don't want to take the name. I can cite you several such examples, but I can ask you one question, just cite a single example when the other political leaders have been sacked by the party, or where the other political leaders, political parties run government has taken any step against any such minister who was accused of any such complaint or any such crime. Just cite me one example.
All right. A flurry of questions. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, the ball is in your court. Please answer the questions raised by Dr. Shantanu Sen.
Very respectfully, I heard Shantanu Senji, and I would say that this decision taken by Mamata Banerjee is the effort of a very strong opposition party, the Bharatiya Janata Party in West Bengal, and the media chasing her to answer legitimate questions. So with a very heavy heart, bahut bhari man se Navika ji, left with no options, she had to sack the minister. And the fact that this was done after 6 days when the corruption was unearthed and ED seized around 21 crores then, but Mamata Banerjee did not respond and later responded under pressure, goes a very long way to show that she is equally guilty, equally complicit in this loot and corruption taking place in West Bengal. Second fact, Shantanu-ji, you should know, the ED proceedings, Navika, is going on by virtue of an FIR that was ordered by the Calcutta High Court in a petition numbered 9979 of 2022. And when Shantanu-ji says, no, we were never supporting him, you are absolutely wrong, because the state government before the Calcutta High Court opposed investigation by the CBI. If you had nothing to hide, why were you opposing a CBI investigation? And now, Navika, just see, 50 crores of cash recovered. Even the pet dog of Partha Chatterjee has more facilities than a rich person in India, because he is the pet dog of Partha Chatterjee. But that raises some very legitimate questions. One, why should Mamata Banerjee not resign? Because Partha Chatterjee, the number 2 in the cabinet, is now facing serious money laundering charges. Second, even Abhishek Banerjee is facing ED probe. Who is Abhishek Banerjee collecting funds, ill-gotten wealth for? Mamata Banerjee again. Third, these people, including the Congress, call ED by different names, idiot, this and that. On the other hand, ED has been successfully unearthing the ill-gotten wealth, 50 crores in this case, and we have seen how in the National Herald case the assets are worth 2,000 crores. So who's an idiot? Is it the TMC, and that too a corrupt idiot? That you are corrupt also, laundering people's wealth. And then you
let's not use unparliamentary language. Gaurav Bhatia, your party has come out.
I'm not using. Navika ji, please. Navika ji, please understand. Please understand. Just give me 30 seconds. I am not calling them names. All my argument is this. How justified today is it for the Congress or the TMC to cry political vendetta and call ED an idiot? That is my argument. You cannot call an investigating agency by name and then not even get one order of the Supreme Court or the High Court to show that you are innocent. That is the argument I am making. And I am aggrieved as a citizen when they call the investigating agency idiot.
Well, would you respond to him, Dr. Shantanu Sen?
First of all, I strongly condemn this type of statement from a spokesperson of Bharatiya Jumla Party. He is addressing Trinamool Congress, the third largest party of the country, as idiot. He is using this unparliamentary word openly in the debate, and his Prime Minister is tagging such words as unparliamentary, which are absolutely befitting for his behavior. And his spokesperson is addressing another opponent party as idiot openly in the debate. The entire country is listening to him. Let me tell you, BJP is absolutely a microscopic existence in our state of West Bengal. He is talking that Mamata Banerjee was forced to take this decision because she was scared of BJP. The BJP party is breaking like a house of cards in our state of West Bengal. And gradually they are leading to a microscopic existence. It is the speciality of Madam Mamata Banerjee, who has been fighting for the common cause of the people at large of the country since last few decades. Unlike Bharatiya Janata Party, who allows the businessmen to run away from country after stealing so many crores of rupees. You never forget our Prime Minister was shown in a photograph with Nirav Modi.
Dada, anybody's political pace cannot be a reason for corruption to take place in that state. Most humble submission by me, but I have taken objection to the use of any unparliamentary language. Certainly not on my debate against each other, because everybody for me is an honorable panelist here, and there are honorable political parties, and if these words have been declared unparliamentary
and
in the parliament...
it is not honorable, Navika.
Absolutely it is.
Not honorable.
It is unfortunate.
It is not honorable, right?
Absolutely it is.
Okay.
Absolutely it is.
Yes.
And I
that is the point I'm making.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Point taken. But Tehseen Poonawalla, let me ask you. Idiot is a word used for the enforcement directorate by the Congress party, and the Congress party, which never gets to the point. It always talks about price rise and people's issues, but comes out on the streets only on the day ED is questioning one of their leaders. I want to ask you, when there are tons of cash that are recovered, when there is gold, when there is all this that comes out, tumbling out, the assets, can I just at the last count give you the number of flats that have been figured out by the enforcement directorate? It's quite a list. There is flat number 8A, Block 5, Clubtown Heights, Belghoria, 14, BT Road, Kolkata. Flat number 2A, Block 5, Clubtown Heights, Belghoria, 14, BT Road, Kolkata. Flat number 8C, Block 2, Clubtown Heights, Belghoria, 14, BT Road, Kolkata. 95, Rajdanga Road, Santipalli, Kolkata. Flat number 1A, Tower 2, Diamond City South, 58 MG Road, Karunamoi, Toliganj, Kolkata. So on and so forth. At least 15 such properties and their papers that have come out of Partha Chatterjee as well as Arpita Mukherjee's houses, jointly or separately owned, but papers kept somewhere. I want to ask you, Tehseen Poonawalla, when all this is tumbling out, staring people of India who earn less than 8,000 rupees a month, and that's the per capita income of India. Doesn't it seem vulgar to you that this kind of cash is being stashed, and still political parties have the gall to turn around and call action of agencies as politically motivated? I just want to ask you, that vulgar amount of cash, does it say something about poverty-stricken people?
Namaskar, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Namaskar to all my fellow panelists and to all your viewers. I'll give you a political answer in brief and a legal answer in brief. The political answer A. I completely agree with Dr. Shantanu Sen of the TMC. While I disagree with the TMC as a political party, Mamata Banerjee, madam, she acted within 4 days. Is Ajay Mishra Teni, and I use this word with responsibility, the man whose son mowed down 6 farmers? I had put out the video first. There are police complaints against me there to take it back. His son has been indicted. Has he been asked to step down? This is the history of the Honorable Prime Minister. Ma'am, you will remember when the Honorable Prime Minister was Chief Minister of Gujarat, Babubhai Bokaria was convicted and sent to jail for 3 years, and he continued to be a minister in jail. So please, the BJP preaching morals is like the devil preaching the scriptures. There is no equivalence. So please, because at least the devil will have some amount of honesty that he is against the scriptures. The BJP is absolutely against parliamentary democracy. Therefore, on the show when the BJP says unparliamentary language, I find that hypocritical. Now to the legal answer. My friend Gaurav Bhatia, a very erudite lawyer and a spokesperson of BJP, has listed out these are the assets confiscated by the ED in so many raids since Mr. Modi has become Prime Minister. Congratulations to them. But if the conviction is 0, which it has been, less than 0.5%, and 0 of the people who Mr. Modi's government has raided, all those assets eventually will have to be returned. They're not going to be lying with the enforcement directorate without a conviction. So all of this is great for news. The proof of the pudding is in somebody being sent to jail in conviction, which has not happened under Mr. Modi. So जैसे वो मुहावरा होता है, हाथी के दांत दिखाने और खाने के अलग होते, सेम वही भारतीय जनता पार्टी का है.
सेम वही भारतीय जनता पार्टी का, हाथी के दांत.
Can I respond?
Respond, Gaurav.
Yes. First of all, I would like to respond to Shantanu Senji, since he was talking about parliamentary language. when Mamta Banerjee calls national president of a party JP Nadda ji, Fadda, Sadda, Gadda and all that, I remember, was that parliamentary? When she says that Pradhan Mantri ko kankad wala rasgulla khilaungi, coming from a chief minister, how parliamentary was that, Shantanu ji? And laat marungi, wo yaad aaya mujhe keh rahi thi laat marungi. That is not parliamentary. But responding to the charges that have been made by Tehseen, my dear friend, your legal knowledge, I am sure because of your experience, you have a lot of legal knowledge. But you gave an example of a minister's son committing a crime. So if the minister's son commits a crime who has been arrested, the minister should be penalized for that. By that logic, I think when Rajiv Gandhi justified bada ped girta hai, to dharti hilti hai, then Rahul Gandhi should be punished. Because Rajiv Gandhi ne justify kiya. Second, you are not right when you say conviction rate is 0. Because let me give you these numbers. ED, which is called Paltu by Adhir Ranjan, and I would love to know from you whether that term usage is right or not, has actually ensured 25 convictions. And do you know, after the charge sheet is filed in a court, it is for the court to undertake the trial. It is not for the investigating agency to decide the pace. And there are 992 cases that are under trial. And third, Tehseen, it's not my money alone, it's your money too. ED has recovered 1,04,702 crores of money that has been laundered by criminals. So you have to salute the ED for that. And in the end, I would only say this, that next time you make charges, today the nation wants to know from you, when the ED acts on Mamta Banerjee, party person, and ED acts on Abhishek Banerjee and Satinder Jain, is the ED good or bad, or is it political vendetta? Please answer this question.
Oh no, let me also respond, Tehseen.
A, the 23 convictions is less than 0.5%, and if you still read the people who have been convicted, none of this money that has been seized by the ED is of those convictions or is as even remotely close. Small fish, small fries have been convicted. It means nothing. People who are charge sheeted in UPA time, not right now. You have been convicted in NDA time. Sir, let me finish. Sir, let me finish. Let me finish. Sir, let me finish. Please let me finish. Babubhai Bokaria, sir, 1 second. Babubhai Bokaria was a minister in Modi government. Modi ji continued to keep him minister while he was in jail. You should not be preaching either to the Congress or to Mamta ji. I think ED is a political organization, a political body being used by the BJP.
But the Congress should be preaching everybody that no institution has the right to question anybody. But let that be as it may. Let me get in Rishi Bagri. Rishi Bagri, the question here is, so much money and we are getting lessons in morality. ये नहीं बोलना चाहिए, ऐसे नहीं बोलना चाहिए, ये सवाल अच्छा नहीं है, हम तो इतने अच्छे हैं, and those loads and loads of cash. And in fact, I was speaking with some of the officials concerned with this investigation, and they said the note counting machines were getting hot. There was so much cash that they had to give the machines a break. Otherwise they would have stopped functioning. And then we are getting lessons in morality on what we should say and what we shouldn't say. Rishi Bagri, rather rich coming from the opposition, both the Congress party or the former Shiv Sena, where summons are put out and nobody comes for answering the questions, or from the TMC.
No, Navika ji, this racket was well known in Bengal for years actually. The candidate without even an admit card to the SSC exams were given jobs, and deserving candidates were thrown under the bus. The rate card was known to all. It ranges between 3 to 10 lakhs depending upon the position. And the erstwhile Bengal governor, Jagdeep Dhankar, has raised this issue multiple times on the public platform. Calcutta High Court has given scathing observations on this recruitment scam of this mega magnitude and directed ED to pursue this recruitment scam. Now, everything got confirmed when the note bundles started tumbling out from the multiple locations linked to the Partho Chatterjee. Now, public is shocked actually. The Bengal public is shocked and anguished to see the multiple mountain of cash amassed by these leaders who actually travel in Scorpio, wear just simple dhoti kurta and wear Hawaii chappals. And these are the people who preach simplicity in their day-to-day life. And this were the people who are amassing this kind of things. And each of these bundles of the notes from the houses of the confidants of the Partho Chatterjee being recovered has a story to tell, procured by the jobless, desperate people through loans and exhausting their savings and handed over in the hope of a job that was never going to be given. Now, in 2021 assembly election, the Partho Chatterjee, the same Partho Chatterjee, has declared only 1 crore 15 lakh assets in his affidavit, which include only a modest sum of 1.5 lakh cash. And you can see the kind of cash which is tumbling out. And to cut her losses, the TMC Supremo Mamata Banerjee has distanced herself from both the Partho and the Arpita. Ironically, the same Mamata Banerjee praised same Arpita Mukherjee on a political platform for doing good work. Now we all know what kind of good work she was doing.
That was a puja platform. So let me correct you. But let me get in Dr. Shantanu Sen. Since we were on parliamentary and unparliamentary language in the middle of all this, may I tell you in February 2021 what Mamata Didi said about the Prime Minister of this country? She said he's the biggest dangabaz in the country. The country is being ruled by a Daitya and a Danab. Daitya and a Danab, apni janen to ki hoy? Mane demons are running this country. And then February 24th, she said, in this country there are two leaders. One is a Hodol Kutkut, mane a fat ugly creature, and the other is a Kimbut Kimakar. A hideously formed creature is the translation of this. I don't know the English or Hindi for these words, she said. These are typically Bengali classical words. Dr. Shantanu Sen, you know, in the middle of this debate to bring up unparliamentary, rather rich by the Trinamool Congress.
Navika, I must appreciate your Bengali speaking skill. I loved it really. But at the same time, I ask you one question. Why don't you recall our learned Prime Minister taunting our Chief Minister, who was going to be third-term Chief Minister, by asking Didi, oh Didi, in a sarcastic manner. May I ask you
but Didi or Didi is better or Daitya is better? I don't know. You be the judge. I'm not asking for a verdict. আমি বলছি কে এটা শুনে নিন কি বলেছেন আপনার চিফ মিনিস্টার সেটাই বলছি I am not giving a value judgment but is this
আপনি কি বলছেন সেটা আমি ভালো বুঝতে পারছি এবার আমি যেটা বলছি সেটা আপনি বুঝুন why don't you recall our learned Prime Minister cherishing the taunting being done by his party cadres in an official program named after Subhash Chandra Bose at Victoria Memorial Hall, and he was cherishing this taunting being done by his party cadres towards our Chief Minister who was sitting beside him. You have to recall those incidents also. You just cannot be one-sided.
Okay, so sarcasm and saying Didi or Didi is equal to the words that have been used by her, which is Hodol Kutkut and Kimbut Kimakar and Daitya and Danab. Anirban Banerjee, do you think we are somewhere in the middle of this political charges that are flying thick and fast, forgetting the poor people? Look at the problem of unemployment which is raised politically by the opposition parties against the BJP. Yet, back home, under your own nose, unemployed youth have to pay bribes to get jobs. And nobody is taking a look at it. It's only when that cash and that gold tumbles out that somewhere inside you something kind of dies, that you're looking at such vulgar display of wealth, but it is actually sitting on the hungry stomachs of some students who are actually wanting a job and having to pay bribes for it. What does this tell us about the situation in Bengal? And I'm not saying this is not happening elsewhere, it should be found out, but certainly at the moment the lens is on Bengal because the cash haul has happened there.
Yeah, surely. The case of unemployment, for a moment let us consider that these allegations of bribes for the government jobs regarding schools are true. Even if they are considered to be true, they do not reflect on the situation of the unemployment scenario in the entire country, because government jobs account for less than 2% of the job market. And the promises of the Prime Minister, he was then the Prime Ministerial candidate, was 2 crore jobs a year. There was supposed to be 16 crores of jobs by 2022.
My friend, find a cash haul anywhere in this country or in BJP ruled states, and I promise you, we will sit and debate that. Right now, West Bengal is where this has been found. Would you want to answer about poor people in West Bengal? I would be greatly obliged if you respond to the charge which is currently related to West Bengal.
Yes, I am. Navika, poor people, not just in West Bengal, but all over the country are being tormented by price rise, directly related to gas, diesel and petrol. Whose responsibility is it?
So you're saying,
therefore,
because there is price rise and poor people are paying for it, so if there are bribes being paid in Bengal, it is fine? Is that your argument?
Nobody said that these allegations are fine. All the Bengal Chief Minister Honorable Mamata Banerjee said that the allegation has come up. Please let the ED conclude the investigation within 3 months. Do not carry on forever. 8 years back, the BJP called Shubhendu Adhikari a scamster. The ED started the investigation. Now he is the tallest leader of BJP in West Bengal. Where is the ED now? That is what the Honorable Chief Minister pointed her finger to us. Therefore, the ED must conclude this investigation.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is only one way of looking at this. You can abuse agencies as much as you want. You can abuse the central government as much as you want. And you can say that, well, there are no BJP leaders or BJP ruled states that are being put under the lens of the investigation agencies. You can criticize that. But can you actually wish away the wealth, the bribes and the money that's been found just under some political jargon? It's something that's going to be impossible for any political party to do. The question tonight is that if bad things are happening and corruption is happening in other BJP states, well, FIRs can be filed, courts can be woken up and courts can be approached, and the matter can be given to agencies to even investigate those. But to turn your eyes away from what's happening in Bengal today is certainly not an explanation that's going to go down well with the people of India. And it's this vulgar display of cash that has been taken away from poor people looking for those government jobs that actually should hurt our conscience as a collective Indian conscience. We'll wait for more investigations to come to conclusion on this, but for now, all eyes on what happens next in Bengal. Thank you very much to my panelists for joining me on debate number 1. On the other side, of course, it is Adnan Sami 2.0. I spoke to him a short while ago, putting out that interaction with a new musical hit that he's come out with, Alvida. And tonight I have a special guest joining me on the Newshour, the one and only, the musical Adnan Sami. Thank you for joining me, Adnan, and it's a comeback. It's a comeback because you've called it a comeback. Adnan Sami 2.0 is how you describe yourself. Is this because this is your latest release after almost a gap of 7 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's after a very long time that I'm coming in, and I'm calling it 2.0 because it's part of it's like a new journey that I'm starting in my musical life. And I wanted to clean the slate, and there's a lot of new things that I'm in the middle of, creating. And so it's a new phase in my life, and I'm mighty excited about it. And so, that's why I said, you know what, let's just change the entire perspective of things from my point of view.
So Adnan, what are the new things that you are up to? You've changed your look quite a bit. You're fitter and you're looking absolutely rocking. What are the other new things that are going on inside?
Well, the thing is that I've always, I've always been, going up and down the scales as it were in my life. So
telling me about it.
You know that struggle, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's so difficult, but it's good from the health perspective. And musically speaking, I was not doing that much of stuff. I was not releasing that much of stuff, but I was preparing a lot of stuff because I was very clear about the direction that I wanted to follow in my next phase. And so I'm feeling very excited, very positive, and very rejuvenated with this new phase of my life.
So what's the new thing that you're doing? Is the holiday in Maldives something that's rejuvenated you? Is the music that you're doing different from the music that you've done before? What is new about Adnan Sami 2.0?
Well, I think first of all, yes, of course, Maldives played a very, very nice role in just freshening all of us up. We had a great time, and but having said that, musically, I think I'm moving into another phase where I've deliberately. I'm wanting to sort of come up with a contemporary sound. And having said that, I always believe that it's important to have a certain DNA of your own to be present there. And I feel that no matter how westernized we may want to become, we must always put a little bit of a desi tadka in our sound, So, so the thing is that for example, the new song that I've released today, Alvida, it's got a contemporary sound, but then it also has our certain desi elements in there with a bit of tabla dholak and some contemporary sounds to go with it, as opposed to just having. I didn't go all out into a Western arrangement, and I didn't go all out into an Indian arrangement. So somewhere I sort of blended the two and made a biryani thermidor.
That's a good one. A fusion like you never heard before.
Yeah.
Give us a sense of that fusion live for our viewers tonight.
Okay, so I'll just hum you a little bit of the song, Hauले hauले हाथों से हाथ तूने छोड़े, हौले हौले ख्वाबों के तार तूने तोड़े, है कसम हमें दिल को टूटने न देंगे, धड़कनों से अपनी तुझको छूटने न देंगे, अलविदा अलविदा अलविदा, ना हुई तू हमारी तो क्या, अलविदा अलविदा अलविदा, हम तो तेरे रहेंगे सदा.
Wow. Wow, super. That was great. And this Alvida brings me to the question. You created quite a few ripples on social media when you removed your profile and wrote Alvida, and people thought, pata nahi, Hindustan chhod ke wapas Pakistan ja raha hai, kya kar raha hai? What was that?
You know, the intention actually was that, because like I said to you that, you know, I'm starting a new chapter in my life and so on and so forth. So I felt that let me get a hold of all my past, posts and let me archive them and clean the slate for the new 2.0 thing to start and commence. And my first post in that was obviously the title of the song. So I wrote Alvida and put it there and left it. And I didn't personally make a big deal out of it, thinking that, you know, I mean, I didn't make any statement, right? I just wrote Alvida and I just left it there. The way people just came in and suddenly started to make a mountain out of a molehill and suddenly started to think, I suddenly started seeing comments that, no, don't do anything drastic, and think about your daughter, Medina, you should be strong. And I'm like, dude, where are you going with this? So suddenly it just suddenly spread like wildfire, and people started to speculate. And I'm like, I didn't even know this until my mother called me. And she said, Kya hua? I said, why? What happened? She said, I'm getting calls. People are saying, is everything okay? I said, everything is fine, Ma. Everything is good. So she said, no, you've written something on social media. I said, yeah, I just wrote Alvida, What's the big deal? So she said, no, people are thinking that, that you're going to take some, drastic step, and you're upset, you're depressed and all that. At least you should have told me.
Well, if there's one thing that you don't look is depressed,
certainly not.
I thought there was another take to that. I thought Hindustan ne aapko itna मायूस कर दिया है कि अब आप यू आर पैकिंग योर बैग्स एंड गोइंग बैक टू पाकिस्तान. लोग तो ये सुनना चाह रहे थे कि अब आपको सिटीजनशिप मिल गई है, पद्मश्री मिल गई है, तो अब आप मायूस हो चुके हैं और अब आप जा रहे हैं.
बल्कि उल्टा उससे मायूसी भी इंसान को खुशी होती है, दिल भर जाता है, दिल इतना भर जाता है कि इंसान, मेरे जैसा इंसान जो है वो और भी ज्यादा इंस्पायर हो जाता है कि और कुछ करे ताकि और प्यार मिले. तो इट्स क्वाइट टू द कॉन्ट्री, एंड दिस इज माय ओनली वे ऑफ thanking people for the love that they give me is through the medium that I know best, and that is music. And that is what I'm doing now. So the point is that जब लोग मुझे इतना प्यार देते हैं तो मैं उसका प्यार जो है वो उसके बदले में जो मैं देता हूँ वो फिर वही चीज होती है जिसकी वजह से मुझे प्यार मिलता है, which is music. So हिंदुस्तान छोड़ने का तो सवाल ही नहीं पैदा होता,
पर बहुत से लोग कह रहे हैं, there are people like just a day or two ago, Ratna Pathak Shah came out and said that this country has become more conservative, more superstitious, and it's taking us back several centuries. Do you also believe यहाँ पर superstition and inward looking ज़्यादा हो गए हैं?
Well, I mean, if people think, वो कहते हैं ना चिराग तले अंधेरा, if people think that we are going back in time, then they should also realize that back in time we were far more liberal than before. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is the Kama Sutra is from the past. It's not from today. So if you're going to say that you're going back into the past, that means we're becoming super liberated, and I think you should be very happy about that. So you shouldn't be complaining. Whereas today, people are more judgmental towards everything. So I think that's just a bunch of nonsense. I mean, today the world looks towards us for cultural enlightenment and for spiritual enlightenment. And so therefore, I don't understand where that logic comes in. It might not suit your agenda, but then good luck to you with that, and whatever. But I don't agree with that one bit.
And what about the little powwow you got into just a couple of months ago with an other, I think, leader from the Aam Aadmi Party over Punjab? You've had a few run-ins.
Oh yeah, yeah. You see, the point was that it was some time ago, but what I recall from that is that when you are holding a position of responsibility, you cannot afford to make frivolous faux pas of this nature. I mean, you have when you have the best of people around you, surrounding you with all kinds of advisors and all kinds of access to information, you turning around and saying that Harvard, first of all, calling it Hayward, and then turning around and saying that it's in some city that it doesn't actually belong in. I mean, and then you're talking about education. On the other hand, you need to at least get some basic facts right before you speak, because you hold a position of great responsibility where people look up to you, and you can't afford to make such mistakes. Any other person can do it, but it's inexcusable for anybody else to do it. So I think that's very important.
Adnan Sami, you are charged that you are a Modi Bhakt, which is why you were taking on the Aam Aadmi Party. You've been charged, and now how do you respond to the charges against you?
First of all, I don't think there's anything wrong with supporting anyone. I don't blindly support anybody. The person whomsoever I may support has to somewhere connect with me, and I need to be able to agree with the stand that person takes. I mean, the fact of the matter is that today I'm a very international person. I have lived abroad all my life. And the point is that I understand the importance of what a country's position should be in the international arena. And believe me, today the way our country stands in world politics, the importance that it is given, and the seriousness with which it is taken is something to feel very proud about. Because in today's times, India is considered a very important force, and he's got a very important role to play in that, and that cannot be denied. And he's been very, very, and he's done it with the world through love and through his hugs. So the point is that that is something. You're not even being contrite. You're actually happily saying guilty as charged. Absolutely. I'm never apologetic about anything that I do. I think that whatever he's been doing, he's faced with a tremendous amount of challenges. Just the pandemic alone is huge. I'd like to see other people better that. It's very easy to sit and judge from the outside, but when you're faced in the arena where you're faced with such a huge calamity, to which nobody has got any experience in the past, and to come out of that with more than 1 billion people, it's not a joke. Absolutely. And that's admirable. And so nobody should ever, think that that's a task that can be ignored. So absolutely, and the vaccination drive in itself. But Adnan, there was a very cute social media post with your daughter actually unveiling Alvida. Where's that little bundle? And is she your inspiration, to bring out Adnan Sami 2.0? Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. She is my, She is my all. I mean, so she has definitely been a huge inspiration and driving force. And she's got me wrapped around her little finger. I mean, I am, you know, I've made it very clear to Roya, my wife, that, you know what, don't expect discipline from me. It's not going to happen. So whenever, you know, if she asks me for something, I'm going to give it to her. So, you know, I mean, if at all she says she doesn't listen to me, I will turn around and say, Roya, please come in, you know. So
handle this.
It's not the other way around.
Well,
yeah.
Very much like a father, yes.
And I've become her bootlegger as well.
Fathers
so,
are always in a popularity contest and the disciplining is left to the mothers. It's a familiar story around the world, in every household. But amazing, great fun talking to you, Adnan Sami, and wishing you all the very best with this new, and looking forward to your next track. And when is that going to be?
It's going to be soon. Thank you. Soon. Now, you see, now we are going to be working at a much faster pace. So you're going to be hearing a lot from me. So hopefully, I hope I don't bore you too much, and I hope you don't get too saturated and say, "Oh my God, he's come up with another song. I can't deal with this anymore."
well, keep us, you know, busy and engaged with melodious numbers, and I'm sure people in this country are waiting for more and more from you, because we need a little melody in our lives. With all the challenges that we face every day, you know, a smile and a melody can solve many, many problems. Thank you very much, Adnan Sami. Thank you for joining me on the News Hour.
It was my pleasure. All the best.
You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
The fact of the matter is, whether it is imported inflation, whether it is tinkering of GST for a longer period, the fact is that the burden is on the common man. And the common man, frankly, doesn't really care about what's happening in the United States, or the UK, or Russia, or Ukraine. They're worried about their day-to-day living and per capita incomes where they are in India. The pressure is as much, you know, magnified on common people in this country than they are abroad. And of course, you have social security systems which exist abroad, which don't exist in India. So I come back to asking you the same question. Is the government really being rather hard-hearted when it looks at these issues? After all, running a country of the kind that India is, with poor middle classes, lower middle classes forming the bulk of the population, do you think the government is doing enough, you know, to cushion the impact on these classes of people?
So let me say that as a policy maker, one has to make various trade-offs. So first of all, let me be clear that the government is fully cognizant of the spike in inflation. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen the measures we have taken, including the Reserve Bank tightening monetary policy. So clearly, the tightening of monetary policy is one response to bringing down inflation. But do remember that this is a trade-off, because if you do tighten monetary policy too fast, too quickly, yes, it will bring down inflation, but then it will slow down growth, it will slow down incomes, and so on and so forth. So there is a balancing act that has to be done. Ultimately, what do we want to do? We want to increase as far as possible the trajectory of welfare and real incomes. And in that context, we have to trade off between growth and inflation. So the trade-off that we are making right now is, rather than tighten so harsh that growth slows down, we are tightening somewhat, but not so much that growth slows down too much. So keeping GDP growth going, create jobs, which is an important question, which I hope we will come to later on. These are issues that are also foremost in our mind. So given this balance we have done, I think the Reserve Bank's response is the correct one for this point in time.
Well, Sanjeev Sanyal, you know, governments are not necessarily only policy makers. They are also political entities, and you understand politics as much as anybody else. I want to ask you a simple, straightforward question that is...
I'm a policy... Wait. No. I cannot answer any questions on politics. I'm a policy maker. So if there are political questions, I'm afraid I will simply not be in a position to answer them.
Well, that disclaimer taken on board, but I'm still asking you the question that when policy makers within the government do not have enough...
You're watching the News Hour at 9. You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the News Hour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. In the last 10 days alone, 3 murders have taken place in Karnataka's restive Mangaluru area. First it was Masood, then Parveen, and now Fazil. Under tremendous pressure, especially after Praveen was hacked meters away from his shop, the state chief minister today talked tough, warning that soon Karnataka will be introduced to the Yogi model. His minister went a step further, even saying that now it is the time to start encounters in the state.
I have told him in Bangalore, whatever possible we'll do it, and if need be, if the situation says that UP model or much more stricter than that, we will not hesitate to do it.
ಯುಪಿಗಿಂತ ಒಂದು 5 ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಯುಪಿಗಿಂತನೂ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮಾಡಲೇ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಯುಪಿಗಿಂತನೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಒಂದು ಮುಂದುವರೆದ ರಾಜ್ಯ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗಿಂತ ಪ್ರಗತಿಪರವಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ರಾಜ್ಯ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮಾದರಿಯಾಗಿರುವಂತ ರಾಜ್ಯ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಇತರರಿಗೆ ಮಾದರಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದನ್ನೇನು ಅನುಸರಿಸುವಂತದ್ದು ಯಾವುದು ಇಲ್ಲ.
But naturally, just the mention of Yogi and to top that, a Yogi model has kicked up a storm. The government is now being asked by the opposition Karnataka, what is this model that they are tom-tomming? Is this going to be a license for extrajudicial killings? Is this an attempt to try and hide their failure, especially given that they are under pressure and under attack from their own party cadre? Is this a quick fix solution, or is this drawing a red line to tell anyone who tries to take the law in their hands there will be action against all and appeasement for none?
The statement of the Chief Minister of Karnataka regarding implementing something called as the Yogi model in Karnataka is nothing but signs of him trying to appease the Sangh Parivar and appease the Sangh Parivar workers. Everyone has seen the visuals of how the Sangh Parivar workers are upset with the BJP, and that is the reason we see that at a time when the Chief Minister should talk about peace and harmony, he is trying to please the Sangh Parivar with such statement. We would like to make it clear that in a democratic system, the only model that can work is the constitutional model. Only those people who don't believe in the constitutional model will talk about such unconstitutional models which are originated by the BJP and the RSS. So we would like to make it clear that at a time when the Chief Minister should promote peace and harmony, he should not try to create more division in the society.
I was shocked to hear the statement of the Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Mr. Basavaraj Bommai, that the same measures like what is done by the Yogis Adityanath will be adopted here to curb violence. In fact, this is spitting venom against people. And you know, what does it mean? It means anarchy. The government itself will be taking the law into their own hands. You know, in that, why should we have courts? Why should we have police? You just, engage an operator of a bulldozer and run down the houses.
Chief Minister's reaction about Mangalore incident, that he will thinking to bring Yogi model here. But my advice to the government, Yogi model, some other model will not going to work out here. First, the responsibility of the government and the Chief Minister is to get the confidence of those area people, whoever be the communities. He has to convince the people and give message to the all section of the society that this government is for all the 6 crore 50 lakhs people government. That confidence must he has to give to those area.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Caller, joining us now on the debate, Vijay Prasad, spokesperson of the BJP in Karnataka, Sujata Pandey, political analyst, Abbas Haider, national spokesperson of Samajwadi Party, Lokesh Jindal, political analyst, Syed Aslam Pasha, spokesperson of the JDS. But I'm going to first go across to Dr. Sudhakar K, Minister for Health and Family Welfare and Medical Education in the government of Karnataka. Is this an attempt to try and divert some of the pressure that your party and your government is feeling, especially since your own karyakartas are protesting against you, to say, oh, we'll get this Yogi model now? Dr. Sudhakar.
Padmaja ji, first of all, I would like to say that Karnataka is a very peaceful state, very accommodative, and we have with open arms welcomed all the people, all the kind of communities across the country. They are living peacefully in this state. In the last 3 years of the BJP's governance, if you see the total number of the communal incidences, it is about 56 in number. But when you compare the same kind during the Congress regime between 2013 and 18, there are about 335 incidences that occurred because of the communal violence. And there was only 10 months of JDS and Congress combo, that is a coalition government. In that 10 months, they had more than 29 communal incidences that has occurred. What I mean to say, it's not that because of our ineffectiveness of the governance that the incidences have occurred. I concede the timing, and within a span of 7 days, the brutal murders of 3 young people is really annoying, and we feel very sorry for this incidents, but the government is not going to allow such incidences to prop up again and again. The moment this has occurred, our Honorable Chief Minister immediately has stepped up. He has constituted 5 different teams under the able leadership of very eminent and efficient officers, IPS officers, and within 24 hours you must have noticed that they were able to nab 2 culprits. And
no,
since
so I want to ask you this. I'm actually glad. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. Just a second, because I'm glad you actually mentioned the loss of 3 lives. Yeah. The thing is that the focus has only been on Praveen, and your government is being accused of completely ignoring the murders of Masood and Fazil, and that is what they're saying. You keep saying appeasement of none, but you are appeasing your constituency, and you forgot that 2 Muslim young men have also been murdered in the same area.
No, we are not doing any appeasement politics. The BJP believes in the philosophy of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas. And our Honorable Chief Minister has taken all these 3 murders in the same context, and he has ordered a very high level inquiry in the state. And today, since the initial reports or initial investigation says that there could be an interstate operation, it could be some organizations with terror intent based on the communal clashes, based on the religious lines, and that is why he has given the case to the National Investigating Agency, NIA, and they would step up the investigation shortly. And they are going to bring all these conspirators or those terror organizations, if at all, are behind this. They will all come and they will be booked under the same law.
So let me ask you this: when already the NIA is investigating,
this government has nothing.
How does the common public interpret what the CM and another one of your cabinet colleagues has said when the Chief Minister said that we are going to bring in the Yogi model? Dr. C. Ashwath Narayan says that some people are testing our patience. We are clear that we are also ready for encounter. Time has come for encounter. In the coming days, action will be taken in such a way that people who indulge in these kind of killings will be scared. Is this not opening the door for what Mr. Siddaramaiah says, anarchy?
I was sitting in the media press conference that was held by our Honorable Chief Minister on the eve of completing 1 year in office. When he was addressing, one of the media friends asked him a question, posed a question regarding if the situation demands, would he be following a kind of Yogi model of governance? Then he started answering, saying that we are doing everything based on our conditions, and if the situation demands, I am not going to shy away. I can follow one of the Yogi's model. He never uttered the name, the word, as you said, encounter. He has never uttered, and he never meant encounter. Encounter was the kind of Yogi's
Mr. C. Ashwath Narayan today has said, we are ready for encounter so that people will be scared. Time has come for encounter.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Even our Honorable Minister for Higher Education, my colleague, has said about the encounter. We are not speaking about encounter, but we will take stern action under the Constitution, under the provisions of the Constitution, under the provisions of the law of this land.
Okay, let me finally ask you.
This government is going to do everything possible to make sure to bring back the image of a peaceful state. This state is very special, and this state is liked by everybody, not just Indians. Even lot of expats live in this beautiful Bangalore city and Karnataka.
Let me finally ask you.
We want to bring back that kind of image of Karnataka. Yeah.
When you finally say that we are ready, we will not shy away from getting the Yogi model, there is fear. What is this Yogi model? Is it about bulldozers? Is it about people being told that, listen, we are going to serve you notice and then we are going to act against you? Some are even saying, is it about encounters? What is it? What is this model that you're not going to shy away from?
No. There could be some stern action, immediate action, where people has to understand the law of the land should prevail ultimately, and humanity is the utmost destination that one government should try and achieve it. So in order to ensure peace is prevailed in the state, we need to do everything possible to save and secure every citizen of this Karnataka. This is Basuraj Bommai's vision, and this is his commitment, this government's commitment. We believe in our Honorable Prime Minister's slogan, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas. So we will not deviate anything from this. We will not do appeasement politics. At the same time, we are not going to hate anybody.
Okay, so there will be justice
hate is
for
not
Praveen.
Something that this government would do, like what the Congress.
And there will be justice for Masood.
Absolutely, the justice will be met for every life that is lost in this state. We will punish all those miscreants, those terrorists, those terror organization, and those people who are conspirators behind this. We would bring them to the books.
All right. Dr. Sudhakar K, thank you very much for speaking to us. There should be justice for everyone, and there should be appeasement and mercy for no one who has blood on their hands. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me take this straight across to our panel who's been waiting very patiently. Thank you for that. Let me ask you then, Syed Aslam Pasha, what's the problem? If that's what they're saying Yogi model means everyone will face the heavy hand of the law, period.
Padmaja, first of all, I like the way my friend Dr. Sudhakar spoke. He's an excellent orator. I hope the government lives up to his words. Now, having said that, Padmaja, I just want to tell you, it's a complete failure of law and order in Karnataka, right? The government's duty is to ensure and uphold the justice in an unbiased way. There are three youths who have lost their lives, starting with Praveen, Masood and Fazil, right? Now, as I said, the government needs to uphold the justice in an unbiased way. We have seen the Honorable Chief Minister visiting Praveen's house. Masood stays just about 5 kilometers away from that house. Honorable Chief Minister doesn't visit Masood's house. This is called a biased approach, right? It is the government's responsibility to ensure that the justice is upheld equally and unbiased to everybody.
Okay.
Now, in Hinduism, we talk about Sarvajana Sukhino Bhavantu, which is everyone needs to live happily. And in Islam, we speak about Lakum Dinukum Waliya Deen. Everyone has the liberty and the freedom to follow their own religion. Karnataka is known for peace and tranquility. Karnataka is known for peace, love and happiness. From the last 3 or 4 years since the BJP has come into power, we have seen that they've been promoting hatred and they've been promoting absolute enmity, animosity.
Okay,
now,
Vijay Prasad, answer these two questions. Point number one, you say that this will be a model. Is your model where justice was only for one community, your community?
No. When we talk about the model, okay, we are all talking about the UP model. For the situation in Uttar Pradesh, okay, Yogi Adityanath is the right Chief Minister, okay. There are different methods to deal with the situation in Karnataka, okay, and they have been using all of them being used here. If the situation demands, okay, even we will not hesitate to use the Yogi model. Okay, when we say about the Yogi model, what does it say? Okay, we are just going to use the bulldozer across the street. No, we are using the Yogi model only for the people who are against the anti-national. Okay, so this is exactly what we are trying to propagate, and we are trying to say here. Having said that, if you see the couple of murders that have taken place in Hindu murders, we should not take these murders as an isolated incident. We have to make sure that we have to bring to book and the law of the land prevail in bringing justice to these people. The law of the land prevail and equal justice will be served across the board without any hesitation, without any caste.
You will use it across the board. You will use it against the murderers of Fazil also. You will use it against the murderers of Masood also.
Yeah, but no, when we talk about the law, the law is for all. Sabka saath. Okay?
Yeah.
Law is for all. Sayyid Aslam Pasha.
So Padmaja, I just want to tell my friend Vijay, I'm happy to see him on TV. This is the first debate. He's a very good friend of mine. But having said that, when Basuraj Bommai says that he will use the UP model, does it mean that he doesn't believe in the constitutional values and the judicial system? What is UP? What is UP model? You want to bulldoze the peace-loving people? You want to bulldoze? How do you identify?
Sir, I think the minister has just explained it. Mr. Prasad has now again explained it, saying that whenever there will be any illegality, whenever there will be any crime, we are going to act against those people. Why do we have to keep going on and on and on about what is this UP model?
One thing we have to be,
Vijay Prasad.
Awesome. One thing we have to be really clear is if you see this incident against this Hindus, these should not be treated as isolated incident. Okay,
Chief Minister,
there must be treated as an act of terror.
He used a word.
Okay, when you are seeing
in
Mr. Pasha, just a second. He's answering your question. Yes.
Okay.
No. See, Aslam, good that we both are debating for the first time on this Times Now show. Okay. See, we should treat this murder as an act of terror. Okay.
Yes.
Terror. We all know terror has no religion, right? Okay. Treat this terror, and we should please don't treat this as an isolated incident. Treating it as isolated incident. Okay.
3 murders. Sir, 3 murders. Not 1 murder, 3 murders.
And arrest will be made in all 3 of them, sir.
Murders. Sir, 3 murders, not 1, 3 murders.
And the arrest should be made in all 3 of them, and are being made in all 3 of them, Sayyid Aslam Pasha. That is the point.
Sir, when I'm talking about the murders, the conspirators behind this, we should first target the conspirators behind this.
Now listen.
Behind this murder.
So let me ask you this, Lokesh Jindal. Here you have Mr. Prasad saying very clearly, I am going to go after the murderers of Praveen also. I'm going to go after the murderers of Masood also, of Rafiq also. And yet, today when you had the Congress leaders asked, when Mr. Siddaramaiah was asked, he is not even willing to use the word PFI. It just doesn't fall off his lips. He is still saying this is an RSS Sangh Parivar internal fight. Still trying to give cover fire to the likes of PFI and SDPI. Why? Mr. Prasad is saying, I will take action against everyone's murderers. But you will not say PFI. That okay, if it's PFI, arrest them. You will say, oh, this looks like Sangh Parivar fight. Why?
See, the hypocrisy of the present government was shown when on 31st of August 2020 they passed an order whereby the BJP dropped 21 cases involving communal riots so as to benefit the Hindu outfit. And now in February 2022, the Home Minister Arga Jananendra, he stated that there were 63 communal violences and there was 0 conviction. So the point is, the Karnataka government is unable to establish facts, bring the perpetrators to justice, convict them, but still it thumps up high that it's going to implement the Yogi model, thereby try to bring about some form of authoritarian regime because it is unable
well,
to...
then if you're worried about convictions and arrests, you should actually be very happy that they're talking about the Yogi model. I'll tell you why. Let me give you some stats. First, beginning with murder. 2014, these are statistics of murder in Uttar Pradesh. In 2014, there were 5,150 murder cases. In 2015, there was 4,732 murder cases. Cut to 2021, and there are just over 3,000 murder cases that have taken place in Uttar Pradesh. This, Lokesh Jindal, should make you very happy that Karnataka is saying, well, we will reduce our crime rate. We will reduce the number of murders that are happening. These are NCRB figures for you.
If the police is under orders so as to not file the cases and show a dismal picture to the masses, then it is completely a window dressing altogether.
Very convenient, sir. When the numbers are high, you say it is a rape capital. When the numbers are low, you say, oh, police is not filing cases. Matlab, chit bhi meri, but bhi aapka murder. It doesn't work like that. But you still haven't answered my question. Today you had the minister saying that we are going to act against everyone. Why is it that the Congress is still not willing to admit that there is a role of PFI, SDPI, and if there is a role, there should be action against them? Why is Mr. Siddaramaiah still trying to give a clean chit to the PFI, SDPI?
It's not about giving clean chit to PFI and the other organizations. The state government has its machinery in its control. It can introduce law. It has laws. It can.
Of course it will. But it is about what position you take, sir, as a political party. And if you really want to know about the history of the Congress in Karnataka, let me quote to you a wonderful example of how secular even crime is made. On the 29th of Jan 2018, the State Police Department sent a letter to 22 district SPs and police commissioners in Mangaluru. Lokesh Jindal, listen to this. You know what that letter said? The letter said, please tell us the details of the cases that have been filed against members of minority community for reasons of communal disturbance in the last 5 years. The Siddaramaiah government wanted to know how many Muslims have you put in jail. Even crime was being secularized, and today you want to talk about law and order, sir? Today you're talking about, oh, why is law and order not being maintained, and why is this model and X model and Y model? The thing is that this is a reaction or this is a blowback to years and years and years of how crime has been communalized.
Function constitutionally. It does not have the entire means.
What is constitutional about asking for the religion of a criminal? Why would the government want to know the religion of criminals?
Article 365 of the Constitution states that if at all a government is unable to function constitutionally, it has a sufficient ground so as to invoke emergency.
Sir, why are you sidetracking into random tutorials on the Constitution? Answer my question. Today the government is saying, the government is saying very simply this, that for years we've had a communalizing of crimes, and that is not going to happen anymore. There's going to be even-handed behavior with everyone. Sujata Pandey. But this is communal. This is communal and extrajudicial. Sujata Pandey.
Padmaja, so I think whatever Mr. Basuraj Bommai quoted today has to be looked into its essence and symbolism. So what is Yogi government? If you look at the data also, Yogi government means that there would be the days of appeasement is over, and creating communal divide for petty politics is also over. It means no tolerance for zero tolerance for crime. It means all the actions for, on spot action for rioters, for stone pelters, for people who try to disturb the communal harmony. It also means giving full hand for nabbing the criminals and also making sure that one who takes the law of the land easily will be taken to task. And this also means that Yogi has been able to make a model state for UP. So looking the data of the crime also, within 15 days of Yogi 2.0, you know how many people? 80 criminals surrendered, 11,981 criminals, these bails were rejected. And this is how the entire Uttar Pradesh has changed. This is how the entire, and Congress should be the last one to lecture on the communal harmony, because the model of the Congress, the governance model is all about communal appeasement. Because do not forget the riots, the 84 riots, the crime for Yaqub Menon, the Patla House, when Sonia Gandhi shedded tears for the terrorists. Come on, I mean, we have a long history of Congress about the government, how they try to use it for their own petty politics. And Yogi government, and my one simple question is for whoever is doubting about the Yogi government, tell me something, which mafia has gone to the court for challenging the action of the bulldozer if they were right? Has any of the case
Abbas Haider is laughing.
In the law
Abbas Haider is laughing. He's as we call it in UP, booked bogie.
If you have case and if you think you are innocent and government is doing something which is against your fundamental rights and is crossing the limits, why don't you go to the court?
Abbas Haider, are you scared? Are you calling up your friends in Bangalore, in Karnataka, saying, listen, I have seen the Yogi model, you should better beware of it?
How will they say? They were dancing, they were enjoying.
See, Yogi model is just another PR stunt of Bharatiya Janata Party. But I'm pretty sure that Karnataka Chief Minister has not spoken to Union Home Minister or the Prime Minister before saying this, because somehow he is saying that Gujarat model has totally failed, and in reality it has failed. We have seen how more than 42 people have died in Gujarat due to toxic alcohol. Day before yesterday, and hundreds of them are hospitalized. This is what Gujarat model is. What has happened in Dhulera? Now let me come to UP model. Let me come to Yogi model. What Yogi model is? Let me tell you. If Yogi model is, if you want to see real Yogi model, you need to go to Bikru, where 8 police officers were killed by gangsters. This is Yogi model. If you want to see real Yogi model, go to Bulandshahr, when a police officer Subodh Singh was killed by gangsters, by a mob.
Are you calling?
And the crime
when you talk about Bikru, for people who have forgotten, it's very convenient. Hold on a second, Sujata Pandey. Abbas Haider, you just hold on. You mentioned Bikru, और आप बोल के निकल गए. Let me refresh the memory of people watching right now that in Bikru there were policemen who were shot dead by gangsters. The name of that gangster was Vikas Dubey. When Vikas Dubey was killed in an encounter, Samajwadi Party said कि ब्राह्मण safe नहीं है उत्तर प्रदेश में, इसीलिए विकास दुबे को मार दिया गया. You are the people who tried to communalize even an encounter of a gangster, sir, and today you are crying for policemen killed in Bikru.
We never tried to communalize.
You are the people who protested the encounter of Vikas Dubey and tried to paint him like some kind of martyr.
There is a saying that Sarkar Iqbal pe chalti
You are the one who
hai.
called him a Brahmin. He was a gangster, not a Brahmin.
Let me tell you, no. This is not reality. If you want to see real Yogi model, go to Bundelkhand Expressway and see how on
Vijay
the
Prasad wants to come in.
inauguration of Bundel Expressway, the contract.
I want to.
And on the
Padmaja, see, I want to come in here. See,
Abbas Haider, Vijay Prasad wants to respond because he is the one who is now possibly going to be the recipient of this model. Yes, Vijay Prasad.
This is what Yogi model is. And
yes.
in reality, the crime in
this murders in Karnataka should not be treated as an isolated issue, because this will certainly, if we treat this as an isolated case, this will certainly.
Yes, go on, Mr. Prasad.
This will certainly derail the investigation, and the real perpetrators will not be brought to the book. Having said that, today Karnataka government has lot of challenges before it in maintaining the communal harmony. We all know that, okay? Karnataka is the most peace-loving state in the country, okay? And Karnataka is also called as the IT capital of the country, okay? Silicon City of India. When other states can emulate Karnataka in terms of the IT capital, what's wrong in Karnataka emulating the UP model? What are we trying to bulldoze? We are trying to bring into the book the anti-national, or the who are trying to disturb the peace, tranquility of the state. Karnataka government has got the entire this one to safeguard its peace. Okay, so Karnataka government can go to any extent in maintaining the peace and harmony of the state. So maintaining or following the UP model will not be any different, or it will not bring down the value of the state, or it will not bring down the value of the chief minister. That's what I want to put that point.
It is not about bringing down anyone's value. It is only about best practices. You would say we are adopting the, Akhilesh model in some other state if you were to form the government elsewhere. Congress says that we are following in the footsteps of the Manmohan Singh model. That doesn't mean that your chief minister is not capable. They are just following the economics of Dr. Manmohan Singh.
In other words, BJP leader, BJP chief minister in Karnataka is trying to say that your Modi model and Amit Shah model, these all model have failed. So that's why he's trying to follow Yogi model. I don't have a problem with that. Now let me tell you what Yogi model is. If you let me know, Yogi model is, they talk about bulldozing stuff and all that. But Yogi's bulldozer, when they roll down to BJP leaders' houses, they suddenly stop. There's an emergency brake in that. When your bulldozer roll towards Chinmayan's house or Kuldeep Sengar's house or Ajay Mishra Teni's house, they suddenly stop. So there should not be double standard. There should not be a double standard. I am asking you to follow constitutional model.
Again, you revel in obfuscation and you do not tell people that there are plenty of Hindu gangsters. And we've taken this name again and again. Badan Singh Baddo, his property has been raised. There are farmhouses in Greater Noida who have been raised, who are sitting in court right now, who have illegal farmhouses. The model is that you will use these weapons or you will use these measures against anyone.
I'm saying that why don't you bulldoze houses of BJP leaders?
And Mr. Haider, I can see that you are live with us from Lucknow. If you walk across in Lucknow to Aminabad, you would know of a temple that has also been bulldozed because it was illegally constructed. But again and again we come on TV and we take three selective examples and we keep talking about this model being about only this person. It is not. It is about laying down the law. That's the point.
We have seen gangsters playing cricket because they were patronized by the government.
Sir, we can talk about these random episodes. If you want to talk about huge tragedies and that being the Gujarat model, I can remind you of 2015 or 2016 when close to 50 people died in Etah, sir. Abbas Haider, you will remember in Etah, close to 50 people died.
Yesterday 2 Babas were killed in
At that time, they were drinking illegally made alcohol. I mean, I have grown up in Uttar Pradesh, and if I start listing out the number of fake alcohol tragedies that have happened, we'll be sitting here till tomorrow morning. So please, let's not say that this model is about this one episode. Is Muzaffarnagar defining the Akhilesh model? No, na. Is Etah huge tragedy defining the Akhilesh model? Nahin. Then how can you say, oh, this one thing has happened 2 days ago, this is the Yogi model? It is about law and order, sir. Law and order.
Hathras is one thing, Bikru is another thing, Bulandshahr is different thing.
Okay, wait, very quickly, I want to get in.
What is happening in Firozabad is different, what is happening in Lucknow. So everything is different, they are all random.
Vijay Prasad has a quick rebuttal to you, then Syed Aslam Pasha.
There is no fear among
we all remember the Balakot airstrike, okay? So what happened, why we took the Balakot airstrike? The cross-border terrorism was so rampant, okay? It was threatening the India's integrity and the sovereignty.
Sir, we are talking about I think where are you going? You're going haywire.
What is the difference between the anti-nationals and the
Karnataka?
terrorists?
I want to bring back the topic to Karnataka.
The same thing. We will not hesitate
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you, sir. You need to speak the language of a statesman. You need to speak the language of a statesman. You are dealing
who are threatening the peace tranquility of the state.
Thank you so much. Vijay, thank you so much. Padmaja, I just want to tell Vijay, sir, when you're dealing with a terrorist from a different state, it is the language which you speak is absolutely correct. When you're not with the people of Karnataka or with the peace-loving people of Karnataka. I just want to bring in and quote one word which is in Kannada, because you know Kannada. I'm telling you, Chief Minister uses a word called Ugra Krama. Ugra Krama means violent action. What violent action can a Chief Minister take? Look at the language Ashwath Narayan, the Honorable Minister Ashwath Narayan is speaking. He will not spare them. What is Ugra Krama? What is violent action against people? Can you help me understand what is
Sujata Pandey? Sujata Pandey.
Do you believe in the constitution?
Sujata Pandey wants to respond. Sujata Pandey, yes.
I have just one basic question. When Chief Minister says that the action will be taken against those who are violating the law of the land, why are they assuming that it will be them or someone who they are close to? Why are they not saying that yes, I am with the Chief Minister? Everyone who takes the law of the land in their hand will be taken to task. I want to ask this Congress panelist or JDS spokesperson, tell me something. Do you not want the criminals to be put into task? Tell me something. How will it be done? How will it be done? How will it be done? By going soft? By doing what you did to Samana?
Okay, I think it is amply clear right now that when they talk about the Yogi model, what are the contours of that? It is going to be about laying down the law and drawing the line in the sand when it comes to anyone trying to violate the law or trying to act against citizens of our country. But the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. There should be justice for both Praveen and Masood. We'll be watching. That is what will be the India model of law and justice. Thanks very much, all gentlemen. Sujata Pandey for joining. Today, the Delhi High Court wrapped 3 Congress leaders and asked them to remove their comments on Smriti Irani and her daughter. Remember, this came on the back of a defamation case that had been filed by Ms. Irani against Congress leaders who had made allegations that Smriti Irani's daughter ran a restaurant and a bar in Goa and that she had, in fact, obtained a license illegally in the name of a dead man. In the order, the single judge bench also said that prima facie, it seemed that there was indifference to facts and that there was defamatory articles put up, defamatory content put up against the minister. There were also instructions that all of this social media posts should be removed within 24 hours or the platforms would be told to take action. Soon after that, the BJP said that this is typical of the Congress, which in the past also has had to face ridicule and embarrassment when they were forced to go back on their original words.
Without hearing the other side, how could the High Court conclude and give the judgment? And on the basis of plaint filed by Smriti Irani ji, if that becomes a judgment, it's unfortunate. And I will say that High Court should reconsider.
मुझे लगता है कि उन दो नेताओं को जो वो फेक न्यूज़ की फैक्ट्री चलाते हैं, उसका जवाब हाईकोर्ट में ही जाकर देना चाहिए. ये कानूनी एक प्रोसेस है. उस पर मुझे लगता है कोर्ट ने जो कहा है, that in itself is a very big statement about the fake news factory that is being propagated.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Ehtisham Hashmi, lawyer, joins us. Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. Ms. Verma, it's only a process of law, not really a reprimand.
You know, Padmaja, I think the judgment by Justice Mini Pushkarna, it very categorically said that prima facie the plaintiff, the balance of convenience lies with the plaintiff and not with the defendant. We all know defendants in this case are Pawan Khera, Neta D'Souza and Jairam Ramesh, and plaintiff is Smriti Irani. I just want to quickly say one very important thing, that the show cause notice by the excise commissioner to Silly Souls, the cafe which is in the eye of the storm. Nowhere does the excise commissioner show cause notice either mention Smriti Irani or Smriti Irani's 18-year-old daughter, point number 1. Point number 2, I can understand given ideological differences, politicians are given to bickering, politicians are given to slandering, politicians are given to mudslinging, but to get somebody's 18-year-old daughter, I think that is extremely unkind and graceless. And the most important point is this: I have been in the corporate sector, I know more than a thing or two. Assuming hypothetically, Padmaja, that there is a situation where, you know, somebody from Smriti Irani's family, it is reported that her husband and son are the directors. The Companies Act 2013 clearly says that in case there is a criminal culpability, in case there is a criminal liability arising out of any action, the final buck stops at the doorstep of the majority shareholder. And I want to tell to your show, to your audience, The majority shareholder and owner is Rahul Vora. Smriti Irani or Smriti Irani's daughters are not majority shareholders or shareholders of silly souls.
Okay.
They have nothing to do with this business enterprise.
Okay, you know, without going into the details of this particular restaurant and the deal and the ownership, etc., because the matter is still to be decided in court, today it was very simply said, Ehtisham Hashmi, I am of the prima facie view the slanderous allegations were made against the plaintiff without verifying actual facts. Grave injury has been caused to the reputation of the plaintiff in view of the tweets, etc. From Chaukidar Chor Hai to this. Why the disregard for facts in order to defame people? This is the judge saying it. Without verifying actual facts. Ehtisham Hashmi.
What are the facts, false fact, and what are the correct facts? It is a matter of trial. And my colleague, she is appearing on another side, on the side of BJP. She just said that court has passed the judgment. So I just want to clarify to all the viewers and to you, Padmaja, as well, that it's not the judgment, it's just an order sheet. It's an usual order generally passed in these kinds of cases. And let me tell you very honestly, as a lawyer, not as a spokesperson of any political party like my friend, she is appearing for BJP. I want to say as a lawyer that Smriti Irani has filed a suit for damages and defamation, and she has asked court to grant her relief in terms of 2 crore rupees. She will not get a single penny out of it.
Sir, we cannot forecast what will happen. As of today, the court has said
you can run it on TV channel and take a screenshot of it.
Take them down.
One more thing. Let me.
Why would the court ask you to take down something if it is not defamatory? This is a blow, right, Mr. Hashmi? If you have built a pillar and the court says this is illegal, take it down.
Let me make my point. Let me make my point. I am just answering your query. I am just trying to answer your query. May I just ask one question from my learned friend from BJP? She is a BJP spokesperson. I just want to pose one simple question.
Yes.
What is defamation according to her fine sense of wisdom and legal acumen? What is defamation? And from where she read about this
okay, how is it defamatory? If you are talking about a license, why is it defamatory?
From where you read the
Ehtisham
concept of defamation?
forget about taking down things, this is not defamation only. Sanju Verma.
Padmaja, the gentleman on the other side.
It's a civil trial going on before High Court of Delhi.
Please, I did not interrupt you. You asked a question, you have the patience to listen. आपने सवाल पूछा कि जवाब सुनिए.
Okay.
You asked me.
I apologize.
You asked me the definition of defamation. Please go and educate yourself. You're a lawyer. Defamation as per section 499 of the IPC. When you
I can tell you the definition of defamation. Defamation is the publication of a statement which tends to a lower person in the estimate of right-thinking member of the society. Please increase your knowledge. Please read some good books.
Okay, sir, again, very respectfully, please, why did not
you don't know anything about law. You don't know anything about Delhi High Court.
Okay, this is not a moot court, sir. We are not here to go into legal definitions. Thank you very much for giving that definition. Let's not heckle. Let's have a more basic argument. How is what was said defamatory? Sanju Verma, how was it defamatory? Mr. Hashmi, please do not heckle.
But you don't want to
30 seconds, Sanju Verma.
And every day.
How is it defamatory? Please, can we have 30 seconds of silence? How is it defamatory? Sanju Verma.
For those
Padmaja,
your leader.
I just want to say one very important thing. I think you mentioned it in your introduction. Let's be very clear. Right from folded hands, Rahul Gandhi going and saying, fine, I apologize for saying RSS was responsible for the killing of Mahatma Gandhi in 2018, to with folded hands asking for an apology from the late Arun Joshi when he said Arun Joshi was giving undue favors to Vijay Mallya, to apologizing in the Justice Loa-related frivolous allegations made by him, to Rahul Gandhi apologizing in the Rafale case. The Supreme Court asked him to apologize. He still went around saying, Chaukidar Chor hai. Finally, Meenakshi Lekhi had to file a contempt of court case against him. So the Congress Darbaris and Rahul Gandhi, they are repeat habitual offenders because their political capital has been undermined. A lady by a lady no less than Smriti Irani.
Okay, let Ehtisham Hashmi respond to that. Answer to this being a habit, Ehtisham Hashmi. From Chaukidar Chor Hai to now this.
That minister is Smriti Irani. What act they have done? They are running an illegal restaurant and illegal liquor shop. You don't have any right. Please put a hand on your heart and say with courage that you support Smriti Irani on this issue, that she is running an illegal liquor shop and illegal restaurant.
राहुल गांधी को जब चुनाव में अमेठी में हराया, वो बात आज तक कांग्रेस.
Why don't you want to debate on inflation? Why don't you want to debate on corruption? Why didn't you want to debate on unemployment? Because you don't know about anything about Indian system.
This is a great point to circle back to Mr. Hashmi. Let me also remind you that the press conference which led to this defamation case was not on inflation, it was also about a bar license. The same could be argued for that press conference also. Why wasn't it on inflation? Why was it on a bar license? Be that as it may, within 24 hours the court has said this content has to be taken down. The Congress leaders are clear, we are not going to do it. We'll keep a close eye on what happens next. Thanks very much, Mr. Hashmi, Sanju Verma, for joining me. Thanks for watching.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, a free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankari.
3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ.
You're watching the News Hour at 10. The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The fact of the matter is, whether it is imported inflation, whether it is tinkering of GST for a longer period, the fact is that the burden is on the common man. And the common man, frankly, doesn't really care about what's happening in the United States or the UK or Russia or Ukraine. They're worried about their day-to-day living and per capita incomes where they are in India. The pressure is as much, magnified on common people in this country than they are abroad. And of course, you have social security systems which exist abroad, which don't exist in India. So I come back to asking you the same question. Is the government really being rather hard-hearted when it looks at these issues? After all, running a country of the kind that India is, with poor middle classes, lower middle classes forming the bulk of the population, do you think the government is doing enough, to cushion the impact on these classes of people?
So let me say that as a policy maker, one has to make various trade-offs. So first of all, let me be clear that the government is fully cognizant of the spike in inflation. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen the measures we have taken, including the Reserve Bank tightening monetary policy. So clearly, the tightening of monetary policy is one response to bringing down inflation. But do remember that this is a trade-off, because if you do tighten monetary policy too fast, too quickly, yes, it will bring down inflation, but then it will slow down growth, it will slow down incomes and so on and so forth. So there is a balancing act that has to be done. Ultimately, what do we want to do? We want to increase as far as possible the trajectory of welfare and real incomes. And in that context, we have to trade off.
You're watching the News Hour at 10.
अबे तो
Youth Congress activists waved black flags at Kerala Chief Minister's Pinarayi Vijayan's convoy in Aluva. This as part of their agitation over the gold smuggling issue. Indian Army Chief General Manoj Pandey proceeded on a visit to Bhutan to enhance the unique and time-tested bilateral relationship characterized by utmost trust, goodwill and mutual understanding. War over India going Saudi way remark. Adnan Sami slams Ratna Pathak, says it is an agenda to malign India. MP Navneet Rana has received a letter. It stated that someone is following her and keeping a tab on her movement. The letter, she said, came from a government servant who said she should remain safe.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankari.
3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ. ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬಲಗೊಳಿಸಬೇಕು, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ತುಂಬಬೇಕು, ನೈತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರು ದೇಶಾದ್ಯಂತ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನನ್ನ ಗಂಡನ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮಗನ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅತ್ತೆಯ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನೆಹರು ಮಾಡಿದ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಜನ ನಮ್ಮ ಋಣ ತೀರಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ 2 ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ಊಟ ಸಾರ್ಥಕ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ. ಈ ಕಿಂಚತ್ತು ತ್ಯಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ತಯಾರಾಗದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅನ್ನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಳು ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ.
He has openly confessed, he has openly admitted. In fact, taking this cognizance, I think our agencies should book a case, should really book a case against him and also make an enquiry, because he would be knowing who are all the beneficiaries.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching News Now Overnight with me, Priya Behel. First up, the top stories. Was Mangaluru BJYM worker killed by those he trusted? Police sources say father of one of the accused, Shafiq, worked at Praveen's chicken shop and may have outed his whereabouts to the killers. State recommends NIA probe. Amidst outrage over Praveen and Fazil's murders, Chief Minister Bommai Malls bringing in Yogi model to Karnataka. His deputy says even encounters will be considered when required. Opposition slams move towards anarchy. Partha aids cash stash no more a secret. Arpita Mukherjee resorts to playing the victim card. Wails and jostles with security officials on her way to hospital for examination. ED news tightening and dumped by his party. Partha Chatterjee says time will tell whether the decision is right or not. Hearing defamation case filed by Union Minister Smriti Irani, Delhi High Court sets 24-hour deadline to take down tweets against Smriti Irani's daughter. Congress says will challenge alleged spin given by Irani. BJP calls it setback for fake news factory. Facing flack from the BJP, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary finally apologizes to President Murmu for Rashtrapatni remark, says it was a slip of tongue. Blame game over Delhi's Chief Minister's missed Singapore visit continues. Documents how he applied for MEA clearance after deadline for paperwork had expired. Now with Times Now, Aam Aadmi Party blames LG for the delay. Another madarsa linked to terror emerges, this time in Assam. Madarsa founder among 12 arrested for a terror bust faces charges of radicalizing youth and receiving funds from Bangladesh. Was the BJYM worker in Mangaluru, Praveen, killed by someone whose livelihood was dependent on him? Sensational information has now emerged to suggest that Shafiq, one of the two accused who have been arrested for the murder, was the son of a former employee at a chicken store that was run by Praveen Netaru. The police suspect that Mohammad Shafiq and Zakir, who were arrested on Thursday in the BJP youth workers murder case, provided information like identification of the victim and his location, and therefore he was killed.
It seems to be pre-planned. It is not that it was randomly done, because you can see we have got the CCTV footage where they are waiting for 30 minutes. That means that there was this target was not random. They did not come randomly and attack. They are waiting for the specific target, and there seems to be preparation and local involvement, and there will be non-local involvement also. So now non-local component, we are working on that.
ನಮ್ಮ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯನ್ನು ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲೂ ಜ್ಞಾಪಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯುವ ಮೋರ್ಚಾದ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ನಾವಿವತ್ತು ಪ್ರವೀಣನ ಕುಟುಂಬಕ್ಕೆ 15 ಲಕ್ಷ ರೂಪಾಯಿಗಳ ಸಣ್ಣ ಧನವನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ.
Now, in the last 14 days alone, 3 murders have taken place in Karnataka's restive Mangaluru area. First, it was Masood, then Parveen, and now Fazil. Under tremendous pressure, especially after Praveen was hacked meters away from his shop, the state's chief minister has talked tough today, warning that soon the state would be adopting the Yogi model. His minister went a step further, even saying that now it's time for encounters.
I have told him in Bangalore, whatever possible we'll do it, and if need be, if the situation says that UP model or much more stricter than that, we will not hesitate to do it.
ಯುಪಿಗಿಂತ ಒಂದು 5 ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಯುಪಿಗಿಂತ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮಾಡಲೇ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಯುಪಿಗಿಂತನೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಒಂದು ಮುಂದುವರೆದ ರಾಜ್ಯ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗಿಂತ ಪ್ರಗತಿಪರವಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ರಾಜ್ಯ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮಾದರಿಯಾಗಿರುವಂಥ ರಾಜ್ಯ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಇತರರಿಗೆ ಮಾದರಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದನ್ನೇನು ಅನುಸರಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು ಯಾವುದೂ ಇಲ್ಲ.
This tough talk has prompted the opposition in the state to accuse the BJP government and the chief minister of resorting to extrajudicial avenues to impose their writ.
Chief Minister's reaction about Mangalore incident, that he will thinking to bring Yogi model here. But my advice to the government, Yogi model, some other model will not going to work out here. First, the responsibility of the government and the Chief Minister is to get the confidence of those area people, whoever be the communities. He has to convince the people and give message to the all section of the society that this government is for all the 6 crore 50 lakhs people government. That confidence must he has to give to those area.
I was shocked to hear the statement of the Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Mr. Basavaraj Bommai, that the same measures like what is done by the Yogis,